This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Hold on to your hats. We are on the grid. Who is going to be king of the late breakers? Excellent onboard shot. Michael Spiegel is throwing absolutely everything at this, including the kitchen sink. Look at this. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Disaster strikes.
Unglaublich.
Wow, qué pelea.
I'm loving this.
Take your hat off and give him a bow. He's already in the lead and now he can sail off into the sunset.
This is Racing Unleashed.
Hello everyone, really sorry I can't be with you this weekend because I'm still travelling from the USA back to Europe. However, whether you are a Racer League driver or a Challenger League driver, I just wanted to check in and wish you the best of luck for racing this weekend. And my buddy Matthew Duffin, he's going to be calling all the action. Be good.
Thank you very much, Dave, for the kind words. And don't worry, we will be good. Good morning, everybody. Hope you are well. I'm Matthew Duffin, your host for today's Challenger League race and action. A lot of stuff coming up in today's programme. A lot of things from the festival at Munich, as well as being in Bern in Switzerland. But we'll get into that a little later on as well. Plenty of action coming up today then. Gear up practice session soon with the knockout qualifying and the race a little later on in the show. But we've been spending a lot of the summer in Munich recently at the Mile Mobility Festival and the Mile Mobility Festival, apologies. And this is what we got up to while we was there. As you can see, one of our simulators there right next to the main entrance for the public to come in and try their best at the Racing Unleashed simulators and the cockpits and the full experience. And as you can see, look, a lovely audience there, big audience. And then it was to a bit of a competition at the Munich Racing Lounge. We see the checkered flag flew and a bit of a celebration on the podium for the top three then, as that was one of our two events that we had over the summer. Another one was in Bern for the Loeb shopping centre place area, yeah, where we had a little shop window open for the public to come in, and not like any shop window, you can come in and walk by and actually take part. As look at it, beautifully done up with all the racing cars and checkered flags around the scenery, and again for the public to step on and to enjoy the racing simulator and try their missed the chicane there, but try their very best at getting around the Monza circuit, it looked like there, and it looked a lot of fun as well in Bern in Switzerland then. In that one, summer discount then for the Swiss racing lounges here in Kemptal and in Zurich. The 11th of September it ends. You get a 20% discount for every event in the summer ride deal. That is in Zurich and in Kemptal at this moment. That ends on the 11th of September. You will not want miss that one. That is an offer you cannot refuse. So make sure that if you are in Kemptal or in Zurich, stop by and take a look at Racing Unleashed, as well as try and have your hand and have a go at these fantastic simulators. Let me tell you, they are very, very tricky to get used to if you've never been in one before. But like we say, an action-packed weekend, Racer League and Challenger League. Racer League tomorrow, Challenger League today. What a show we have for you here at the most famous Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Very, very tough, tricky track. But here is a little message to Sebastian Hirsch. We wish you a speedy recovery and hope you are back on track soon, as we are live there in Munich. Look, with a little love heart from our Racing Lounge representatives here in Munich to wish Sebastian Hirsch a very, very speedy recovery after a go-karting accident. So all the best to him, and we hope he gets well, and I hope he is watching today. And Sebastian, if you are watching, speedy recovery, my friend, and we look forward to seeing you in the future back in the racing lounges and back here at Racing Unleashed. Coming up then in a little later on, we have Mr. JWW. We have some new videos from our Fit and Fast representatives as well, and we'll get to see a new episode of them just a little later on. But JWW in just a moment will be giving us a track explanation and see if you can pick up on a few mistakes.
Welcome back and welcome to Spa Racing Circuit in Belgium. This is without doubt one of the most famous circuits in the world and one of the drivers' favourites. Now, at just over 7 kilometres long, there is a lot for these guys to deal with. Of course, it's iconic for one of the most notorious sets of corners in all of racing, Radion transitioning into Eau Rouge. This is a blind crest, flat out, and it's a real challenge for these guys. Now, in this race, it's good about endurance. As I mentioned, it's just over 7 kilometers, but it's also winding its way through some incredibly beautiful scenery. Gorgeous woodlands, undulations, dips, high speed. It's all about the balance of these cars. There's some incredibly fast-flowing corners, so these guys are going to be flat out for a good proportion of the lap, with some certain spots having some really heavy braking points. So stay tuned, it's going to get really intense and, importantly, really fast.
Radion into Eau Rouge. I think JWW is doing the track backwards there because it's Eau Rouge into Radion. Never mind, JWW. I'm sure next month you'll get to find out what it's like to drive the track the right way around. Right, we have a bit of a birthday celebration coming up, and a man who's not qualified for this weekend's Challenger League events, Lorenzo Haider, got knocked out of the qualifying process by his colleague here, Thomas Herzog, one of our fit and fast participants. Not Lorenzo Haider, out of the qualification process to qualify for the Challenger League this weekend, but did give him a little birthday present as it's his birthday, as he tries to spray the bottle of its finest there then. But he will not be participating this weekend. He gets to celebrate his birthday by watching his brother take to the track a little later on. 4 new drivers on the track today, 4 new names to learn as well, and let me tell you, they are not easy to get through, but we will try our very best for you today, for sure. Lorenzo Haider then will not be here, but let's take a look at what happened at Silverstone last month.
Hold on to everything as the lights go out. It's a reasonable start from Felipe Gonzalez, but I said that Yannick Fletcher could be a danger man from here. Looks like he is being hounded right at the start of this and has lost a place already and goes back down to P5, so that's something like the commentator's curse, isn't it? So Gonzalez from Georgiev, and then Zambra, who I also said would be one to watch, and Zambra P3, and Nico Farland up to P4 as the drivers make their first tentative steps around this huge Silverstone circuit, which comes with such heritage. Here is Felipe Gonzalez, Tiziano to the inside then, and he's going to make this work. So absolutely brilliant move from Tiziano Caponio up into P3. And it's another lap on the record charts with Luca Keller staying in P5 and preventing David Seed moving further up the order. Through farm we go. And now, an opportunity for David Seed. He had to be bold there and had to be committed to it, and he was. And now David Seed has received some of his own medicine back again. And he still stays ahead of Luca Keller and Sinan de Murbas. And this is how Luca Keller is having to defend from Sinan de Murbas. And now he had additional momentum there. But Julian Manchester La Rosa was almost able to take advantage as well. And that's the trouble when you're hunting because you're being hunted at the same time. To the inside now, a little barge on the wheel. As Yannick Fletcher now goes for P3 to the outside of Tiziano Caponio. It's a long way around this turn, but that was a brilliant overtake from Yannick Fletcher. Now Tiziano will be feeling the heat of aggression, if you will, from David Seed, who we're on board with now. And sure enough, David Seed up the inside, almost as if we'd cued that perfectly by script. David Seed goes through on Tiziano Caponio as we are on lap 19 of 20, and here comes David Seed's attack then for the final podium place to the inside of Yannick Fletcher. There is a touch between the two of them. It was another aggressive move from David Seed, and Yannick Fletcher is having none of it. Naff off might have been the expression used by Yannick Fletcher. You're going to have to try harder than that, David Seed, he says. And what did I say about Tiziano Caponio? Just as David Seed goes around, David Seed loses the back end of the car. Such was his quest to try and get by. He lost out the back end of the car, and that relegates him now to P6. The final lap of this race at Silverstone. It all livens up really rather nicely because David Seed has come back here. And David Seed on Tiziano Caponio now, all the way around the outside, is looking for P5. The outside gives him the inside for the next turn. He is in P5. Sinan Demurbas was just so clever. But a commanding victory from Cyril Zambra. Yannick, left, Yannick. Thank you. Right, it is P1 and P3 that we can see here in Zurich being celebrated. And a big thumbs up for Nico Farland then, P2. Team Farland, rules okay.
Well, the celebrations for Yannick Fletcher were short-lived. Following a protest from another driver, he picked up a penalty, which elevated Sinan Demurbas to take P3. You can see there the P with Yannick Fletcher. Also, David Seed and Julian Machas de la Rosa picking up penalties as well. And they were not the only ones. As you can see from our classification, Borjo Zaza, Lorenzo Haider, Hugo Pinto and Valentin Gorgiev also picking up penalties for that result.
And that is what happened at Silverstone. The rankings for the Challenger League, then Sinan Demurbas has a 1-point lead over David Seed, with Cyril Zambra only 10 behind, and it is very tight at the top of this table. Nico Farland on 55 points with Marcus Valverde on 49. Lorenzo Haider down in P6 on 36 points, but not taking part this weekend. Tiziano Caponio on 32 with Yannick Schmidt 4 ahead of Yannick Fletcher, with Thomas Herzog rounding out the top 10. Second page in P11 is Andrin Keifer, then 1 point ahead of Julian Machas de la Rosa. Dario Appa on 15 points with Tyler Klausch on 12. Jason Bleissig on 8 points, tied with Fabian Meyer. Antonio Rivoli on 6 with Jason Ferretti, and Michael Fry on 6 points as well. Joshua Hader rounding out the top 20. And to the bottom part, Ronnie Heitinger on 4 points, Borja Zarzo on 2, Stefan Jumli on 2 as well, and Luca Keller bringing up the rear on 1 point. So that's your standings then, and we're already into the gear up session here, the free practice if you will, at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit here, the famous Spa circuit in the Ardennes Forest. And what a job these drivers are going to have today. 7 kilometres this track, and this is an absolute real roller coaster, because you've got ups, downs, left, right, real tricky corners like El Rouge here, and the drivers have got a lot to do, and unlike the Formula 1, they all seem to be well within track limits up the top of El Rouge and Radion, so that is very nice to see. Or is it Radion El Rouge? We'll have to speak with Mr. JWW and find out. Either way, Marcus Valverde then on his outlap with 6.5 minutes left to go in this session, and whoa, a bit of an incident there, and Valverde, very nice job to avoid that one. Not sporting the purple headband this week, he's gone for a bit of a black headband as he gets a tap up the rear there, and good morning to Marcus Valverde from behind. Well, he won't be wanting that tapping in the race. Was that Nico Farland that's just gave him the tap up the rear? I think it may have been. Either way, these drivers, very tricky task for them here at Spa today. Here is Nico Farland in our racing lounge in Munich, fully focused, and there's another driver there obligated to just get out of the way and make sure that he wants his clear run as possible, and that's giving Nico Farland the room he needs to do. And luckily enough for Nico Farland, it is gear up session and not the race, otherwise he could have been looking at a bit of a penalty there maybe. Then here is Borja Zarzo then in Madrid, and he is fully focused on the task ahead of gear up. Final preparations for the drivers, bit of practice in the cockpits and in the cars, a bit of a warm-up session for them, get their bodies loose and make sure that they are ready to go for the knockout qualifying in just a moment. But we saw the tables a little earlier on. Sinan Demurbas, David Seed and Cyril Zambra, 10 points separate them top 3, and it's going to be fascinating going into these final couple of races then as to who's going to do what, because David Seed had a strong grip on this, let's not forget, a couple of races ago on this championship, and it's just started to slip away from him in these last few rounds then. Here is one of the new drivers, Sven Kusnel. I do believe that is pronounced right. Apologies if it isn't. But Sven here, coming up to El Rouge. And what can he do on his first outing today? One of 4 drivers making their first starts here at Racing Unleashed this weekend. And there he is, look, in car. And he's looking calm as well, isn't he? As he's fully aware of what he got to do, and he gets out the way nicely for the driver to come past. And just gets a bit of slipstream as they come down the end of the Camel straight into Lecombe's chicane then. Famously, where Michael Schumacher and Mika Hakkinen, remember them splitting either side of Riccardo Zonta for Mika Hakkinen to take the lead of that race back in '97, I do believe it was. As here is another new driver on the grid, David Rosler, I do believe again, in Munich. Orange cockpit, orange car. Near enough, an orange t-shirt. He's gone full orange today, and he's really determined. Getting it through the middle sector here at Spa with 4 minutes left of the gear up session in these Formula Hybrid 2022 Evo cars in the fantastic Racing Unleashed liveries then. It's David Rosler now coming towards the back end of the lap and towards the chicane then, the final couple of corners. And a very tricky chicane this. You've got to absolutely get this right, because the run out the chicane is very important, and you will see that in the knockout qualifying session. Another new driver, Sylvain Preus, out there on the track. And again, apologies if the pronunciation is wrong. We will get there for the race at least. Oh, a spinning car right across the front of Preus there, coming through the chicane. And that's what I mean about you've got to get that chicane exit bang on, because you just lose a lot of momentum down to Lecombe turn 1, and you don't want to be on the back end of a launch from up the inside. Hopefully not from a Romain Grosjean though. Remember that from the start line a few years back in his Lotus days. Wiped out half the grid in that one. Hopefully we don't see none of that today. Here is Cyril Zambra then, the man who took a win last time out. And what can he do again? 10 points off the championship lead in Zurich. He is going to be up for this one. Took a win last time out, and it was a very, very good win as well for Cyril Zambra, and he's going to want to make sure that that momentum stays with him, and that role he's on at the moment sticks in the flow. Sinan Demirbas, who got promoted to P3, he's now leading this championship, and will want to make sure that he can keep David Seed and Cyril Zambra well within his sights, because Sinan Demirbas here has a lot to hang on to now. He's no longer the hunter, he's the hunted, and he really needs to make sure that he can do the best job possible here at Spa this afternoon. Hugo Pinto then, what can he do? As lap time starting to come in, or the classifications are now showing up, and it is Marcus Valverde who is the quickest driver, but only 0.02 of a second quicker than Zambra. And there is Hugo Pinto, who has a big spin at the chicane, and the first part of the chicane is slightly off camber, and it's very easy to make a mistake and lose the rear end as he did there, and again compromising that run, and that can lose you a lot of time and a lot of positions in that knockout qualifying and in that race in particular. Julian Matías de la Rosa then coming up through Eau Rouge and Radion down the Camel straight now, and again, fully focused and knows the task he's got ahead. Sharp on the brakes. You see the seatbelts there really pulling tight on De La Rosa's torso there, really pulling him into the seat. And that's what these cockpits and these simulators here at Race Unleashed are all about, to give you as much of a realistic feel. There's an apex there somewhere. Julian, you might want to find that one for the knockout qualifying session, as Thomas Herzog now then, he's coming through into the middle part of the lap. Currently not got a lap time on the classification so far, but it's a second separating the top 6 with Matías de la Rosa in that P6 spot. Here is Thomas Herzog here in Kemptol. Seen Thomas this morning doing his warm-ups, his stretches, getting loose and limber, ready to climb into the cockpit. And just look at that determined look on his face. He is wanting to pull out all the stops today. As Tyler Clausen coming towards the chicane at the very end. Get this right, you've really got to nail the braking zone here, and that's just a little late. Manages to get it stopped in on the apex, gets the second part now on the power, and away he goes. And that's not a bad run there. braked just a little late, and he nearly went deep at the first part of the chicane, but managed to get it stopped. Now, only one of the Hayder brothers here today, and Joshua Hayder here. And he's fully focused on the job he's got to do. Into the chicane, bang on, clip the apex, get the second apex right as well. Now on the power, and away down the start straight you go. And you can really nail this then, down into turn one. And if you're close enough in the race or in the knockout qualifying, that little send it manoeuvre up the inside could be the one that Joshua Hayder may favour. Here's Georgiev then, just crosses the line, stays P40, Fano goes to P11. Apologies on the timing screen as he comes into Lecombs now. Not Lecombe, into Le Source, sorry. And he's got another car just in front, and he'll get one more lap in. The drivers are then on their final laps and their final preparations. There was a driver just hitting the wall in front of Georgiev. They're just clipping the wall. Obviously the pit lane used more for the 24-hour racing at Spa. That's the gear up session at and the drivers will all come to the end of that one and get ready now for the knockout qualifying. The boxing gloves will go on, the bell will ring shortly, and the knockout qualifying will begin then. Spa, very, very famous circuit, very, very long circuit, and you can get a lot right, you can get a lot wrong, all in one lap. So the drivers today and tomorrow have got to fully focus and fully get ready for what they have to do this weekend. And that little gear up session there, the little 10 minutes they get of free practice, will really help them get into a rhythm, get into a groove ahead of the knockout qualifying. We'll bring you the grid shortly as well of what the lineup will be for the start of the knockout qualifying, which will obviously then give us our grid for the race a little later on. Now, the knockout qualifying, just about to get to this, what we are doing today is we normally do 2 guarded laps. What we are doing today is just 1 guarded lap. So lap 1 will be a lap behind the safety car. No overtaking is allowed. You will line up in reverse championship order, follow the safety car. Lap 2 is a guarded lap. So it is 1 racing lap where the drivers are allowed to overtake each other and fight for positions. Normally we have the 2, because this track is 7 kilometres long, we're having 1 guarded lap. So lap 3, at the end of lap 3, we will start losing the bottom 2 drivers at the end of lap 3 onwards until we get to our final 2 for the battle for pole position in this one. So lap 3, lap 4, lap 5 and so on, we will lose the bottom 2 drivers who are at the bottom of that ranking. So the drivers this week, 1 lap. Prize money then for the Challenger League. You can win yourself 500 Swiss francs for a race win, all the way down to 10 Swiss francs for a top 10 finish if you get it done today. In terms of the season, and this is what Sinan de Merbas is going to be looking at, 2,500 Swiss francs in your back pocket if you can win that championship. Again, all the way down to 50 Swiss francs in the Challenger League. And the Racer League, you see there to the right hand side, 3,500 for a race win, down to 200 for a top 10 finish, and 15,000 Swiss francs for a championship win, all the way down to 750 if you finish 10th in a championship. And there might be one man tomorrow, we'll get into that a little bit, who will be looking at 15,000 Swiss francs, but we'll get to that tomorrow. Battle for Glory then is December the 11th, Challenger and Racer League. We still do not know this circuit. They will not disclose it. They will not give us any information. They are keeping their cards very close to their chest. December the 11th, though, the Battle for Glory. Watch it live here, Challenger and Racer League. And that is the prize money for the Battle for Glory. Challenger League will get 1,000 Swiss francs for a win, 500 for second place, 400 for third, and then all the way down to 20 Swiss francs for 10th place. And the Race League will get 7,000 Swiss francs for a win, all the way down to 400 for finishing top 10 here then at Racing Unleashed. That is the Battle for Glory, 11th of December, and we do not know where it is going to be held. Here then is a little run through of what leagues we hold. We hold the Racer League, which is a qualification through performance. Dates are based on the racing calendar, as is the Challenger League, but registration is open for the Challenger League. As we've seen this week, no Lorenzo Hyder, but we have 4 new drivers all taking part here at Spa. That's because they've qualified for it. We also do a fun league, and it is pretty self-explanatory. It's in the name. It is a fun league. Anytime, regardless of the calendar, open to all and hosted by one individual lounge. For a group of friends, family, work colleagues, whatever it is, a fun league to take part in. And let me tell you, please look into it, because it is very fun, and the fantastic facilities here at Racing Unleashed to take part in then. And to have your chance at the next Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen, if you really fancied your chance at trying to emulate one of them drivers, maybe a Michael Schumacher or an Ayrton Senna as well then. So as the drivers then step out the cockpits, have a bit of a drink and get ready for the knockout qualifying. This is the grid for the qualifying. Sven Kusnel will be on pole position with Tobias Meyer. Ruiz Oscar will be in P3. David Rusler in 4th. Sylvain Preuss will be in 5th. Hugo Pinto with Valentin Georgiev in P8. P9 Ostrid Vollenweider. P10 Borja Zarzo. Joshua Hayder then in P11 with Mikael Frey, Fabian Meyer, Tyler Klausch, Julian Macias, De La Rocha behind them, Andrin Keifer, Thomas Herzog, Tiziano Caponio, Marcus Valverde 19th and Nico Farland P20. 21st for Cyril Zambra, 22nd for David Seed, and Sinan de Burbas will be Sinan de Burbas will be 22nd. Sorry, didn't count the safety car, did I? So missed P1 for the safety car. As they're ready then, on the grid, it is lights out here at Spa, and the drivers will start their 1 lap behind the safety car. No overtaking possible as we get into this one. So the drivers have a lap, prepare the tyres, get them up to temperature, get the brakes exactly where you need them to be, get in a place where you exactly are. And really now, mentally, get yourself in that zone that race drivers talk about. Be in that zone, get in that bubble and get yourself ready, because the minute that safety car pulls off, at the end of the lap, you are underway and will get 1 guarded lap, and you'll get 1 chance to really attack other drivers. Not the 2 that we normally get, the 1 chance to really attack other drivers and to really make sure that you can make up as many positions. For David Seed, Sinan de Burbas and Cyril Zambra, the 3 title challengers, or the 3 main title challengers should I say, they will really want to have a good knockout qualifying and get themselves up as high as possible to get as best grid position they can in this race. If you all knew, this is the way that qualifying works, so drivers will be knocked out. At the end of lap 3, drivers will be knocked out. The bottom 2 drivers in the classifications will be knocked out, and that will then make our grid order for the race a little later on. As the drivers are making their way towards the middle sector of the lap. And they are really going to want to make sure that they can do the best they can then. The Formula Hybrid X 2022 Evo cars here, and a brilliant car, brilliant, absolutely fantastic, stuck to the road unless you push too hard. As you can see, the drivers just weaving in and out left and right, making sure their tyres are up to temperature. Oh, careful there, Tiziano, just into the back of Thomas Herzog there then. But this is just up to temperature, so that shouldn't go against him in this one then. Thomas Herzog, it'll be a man to keep an eye on, you feel, in this qualifying. What can the 4 newbies do, the 4 debutants, all starting in the front 4 spaces? Sven Knusel, Tobias Meyer, Oscar Ruiz, David Rusler and Sylvain Preuss, top 5, sorry. Can they get a good knockout qualifying and really try and impact and get in the way of the title challenges? Obviously they're going to want to play for pride and play for honour and get themselves a race winner, a podium and a pole position under their belt. But here we go then, the safety car pulls into the pits and we are green and go for this knockout qualifying. Now the guarded lap comes up this time around. This is where the drivers can really attack each other and really make sure they give it their everything to make up as many positions, because you do not want to be in that bottom 2 come the end of the next lap. So everybody will be safe for this lap and the next lap. It's the end of lap 3 where drivers will start to be eliminated. This is then something that is going to be an absolute cracking battle, as Ruiz Oscar then going right up the inside into Lecombs, but can't get the job done. And Tobias Meyer then keeping hold of that second place. Sinan de Burbas and David Seed and Cyril Zambra have already made up several positions here and are already up to 16th, 17th and 18th. So they've had an absolute cracking start on this first guarded lap here, as Sven Knusel out front has left the two P2 and P3 at this moment in time. He's a second ahead of second place. So Nico Forland gains another place over Marcus Valverde, and they're all gaining a few places over Tiziano Caponio there, who's dropping down the standings. Here is Nico Forland then, bit of a gap to the car in front, but has plenty of time at the moment. He's sat in 13th place, and he knows that he's got a couple of laps still before his knockout comes his way, and he is doing a fantastic job at trying to get through the pack. David Seed then, the man who's got some pressure on him now. He's made a few mistakes in the last couple of races. Can he get it right tonight? As I have lost all picture. I can't bring anything to you at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Everything has just gone off. So apologies at the moment. I cannot tell you what is happening. Everything has just gone blank. Black screens on the laptop and the monitor at the moment. And welcome back then. Apologies for that one. I don't think you lost picture, but we did on our end. We are back though here, and we have lost a couple of drivers at the moment. Joshua Hader though has had a problem, and he's all the way down in P20 here at this moment in time, with Tiziano Caponio down in 19th place as well. And Joshua Hader and Tiziano Caponio, trying to go round the outside of Vollenweider, and has done now. Joshua Hader can see the 2 places he needs to make up to not be eliminated from qualifying early on in this race, as here he comes then down into the middle sector for Joshua Hader here, looking round the outside, and I tell you what, he's going to force the door open, and he barges the door down and makes sure he gets through there, and he now needs that one more place of Tiziano Caponio to make up if he is to stay in this qualifying session then. So Vollenweider down into P20 he is, and he will potentially be eliminated from this qualifying. Cyril Zambra up in 8th place, he's making some good places. There is Joshua Hader, you see, focused and determined. There's a couple of cars just in front, but this lap is ending very soon. 2 cars side by side into the chicane. If they make contact, Joshua could be in a fantastic position. There is Nico Forland's view back of Joshua Hader, but it isn't going to be enough for Joshua Hader or Astrid Vollenweider then. They will both be eliminated from this qualifying knockout session, as Tiziano Caponio now needs to make sure he can make up a few places to keep him in this qualifying session. As Caponio right on the back of Tyler Klausch in this race. He's no longer on the back. He's pulled out on the Kemmel Straight and is having a look here round the outside as they come down towards Le Combes. Here in Kemptol, late on the brake as you dare, round the outside. You'll have the inside for the second part of it. Job done, easy as you like. Next target in front of him is Borja Zazo then, and he's going to, again, he's got half a lap to gain 0.6 of a second and to make sure that he can really put the pressure on him and make him sweat a little bit in Madrid. So Borja Zazo then, can he keep Caponio behind him? And can he make sure that he stays in front and stays at least for another lap to maybe start P16 on the grid in this one then? Tiziano Caponio, though, has gained a couple of tenths here and is really getting on the back of Borja Zazo. The lap again, though, is just running out and it's just coming to an end for Tiziano Caponio. There you see in the background, and you get the sense that unless he's got to really gain some time here and really make up some ground, but he's not able to at the moment. Fabian Mayer then, he's on the back of Michael Frey as well, and he's got to make sure that he can get another place because he will survive this lap, but the next lap he's going to be in a bit of bother. Is Fabian Mayer as Caponio and Tyler Klausch we lose from this knockout session here then. So Fabian Mayer and Borja Zazo, they've got pressure now to make up some places, but for Borja Zazo, he's a bit behind Mayer and a further 0.8 of a second behind Michael Frey in front of him. So you get the sense for Zazo, it's about getting P16 and he held on to it, and that could be where he starts. David Seed's got up to P11, so he's not made as much progress as Sinan de Mirbas or Cyril Zambra then in this one. But Mayer just losing a couple of tenths. There is David Seed at the moment. A bit of distance to the cars in front, has a few cars on the back of him and knows what he's got to do to make up some places. Marcus Valverde, P10 on the back of Sinan de Mirbas, and these are the cars, this is the group of cars that's in front of David Seed, and these are the guys that David Seed will hope that have a little bit of trouble, or running to a bit of bother should I say, because David Seed is going to want to make sure that he gets ahead of his championship competitors, and they're all sat in front of him at the moment, so that's not where he'll want to. Obviously no points in knockout, but it's all about the race, and a good qualifying position could help you. Borja Zazo then is a bit too far back to get a job done here, and that is going to be a P16 for him, but nonetheless 16 out of 22 is not a bad qualifier for Borja Zazo. And what can he do in the race? Will he be able to make up some more places in there then? On the back of Sinan de Mirbas, there is Marcus Valverde and David Seed doing their best laps, as did Thomas Herzog, but we have lost Fabian Mayer and Borja Zazo then, so they are out of this knockout qualifying. Obviously everything's preliminary at the moment. The race control will double check everything before we get a final classification to you then. Now Matthias Della Rosa and Thomas Herzog are two that are under pressure and need to gain a bit of time, as Valverde, Sinan de Mirbas and Cyril Zambra, in fact de Mirbas and Zambra then are side by side and have swapped positions, and so Sinan de Mirbas has got himself ahead of Cyril Zambra, so the championship leader is ahead of all these championship rivals and exactly in a position that he wants to be in going into the race a little later on. Obviously still time for these drivers to change places, swap places and see what they can do. It's all about, though, Michael Frey and Matthias Della Rosa. Here is Cyril Zambra, and you see just in the background in his rear view mirror David Seed and Valverde having a little squabble, while Zambra, though, is fully concentrated on Sinan de Mirbas and Georgiev and Pinto in front of him. A queue of cars here at Spa really wanting to get on with this one, and Valverde putting the pressure on Zambra now. And this is what we love about knockout qualifying, is it's like a sprint race, all wrapped up in one. as Nico Forlan gets himself up into P4, and Valverde has got himself ahead of Cyril Zambra here then. A bit of a tap on the rear there, was it, from Zambra on Valverde, and into the chicane, and Cyril Zambra launches one up the inside and says, I'm going to have this place, and a bit of wheel bashing there between the two of them, and they all get through. But look at this, David Seed wants to make sure that he makes it 3 wide coming into La Source. And I tell you what, he is going to, up the inside, and Valverde's been hung out to dry over the curb, and Cyril Zambra still bouncing off of the wheels of his competitors. Now into El Rouge. I tell you what, you're a brave set of boys side by side, and David Seed backs out of that one before El Rouge. I actually missed who we lost from qualifying. I do apologise. As we was watching the great entertainment, Thomas Herzog then down in 12th. He's a bit of time, 1.2 off the back of this battle between David Seed, Cyril Zambra and Valverde, and one of these three are going to be eliminated, and Valverde there, a little wiggle coming through Lecombe, and that is a huge moment for Cyril Zambra, and that could put to end his qualifying session and outside the top 10 for this race later on. And Cyril Zambra, he's not lost too much time. There is still time he can make up, and is he just pushing a little too hard that he made a few mistakes? That, though, has given David Seed an absolute fantastic opportunity. Sinan de Merbas has passed Georgiev and Pinto and is up into P6. So for Sinan de Merbas, the championship leader, he is absolutely flying in this knockout qualifying session. David Seed has now got himself ahead of Valentin Georgiev as well. Here then, Cyril Zambra on the back of Thomas Herzog. He's 6/10 off the back of Valverde. You get the sense that that one is done unless a mistake happens from Valverde. But for Cyril Zambra, P11 over P12 will be nice, and I'm sure he'll want to make sure that he has an extra position. He's going to have a look. He's going round the outside, 2 wheels on the curb. He's going to have the inside line for the chicane at the end. Marcus Valverde's got himself ahead of Georgiev, and Thomas Herzog there, probably sensibly, stays behind. It's only one position lost. P12 for Herzog then, and Cyril Zambra will start P11. We're now into then the top 10, and it is Valentin Georgiev and Marcus Valverde who have got some time to make up over Hugo Pinto, and again a bit of a train of cars still as Cyril Zambra P11, Georgiev 7/10 off the back of Valverde. Valverde 3/10 of a second off the back of Pinto, and here is Valentin Georgiev. Marcus Valverde then gets past Hugo Pinto into Lecombe. Oh, he's had a bit of a wiggle, and this could allow Pinto to come back at him, and they're side by side. No, Valverde keeps hold of that one. Now they're on the back of Thomas Meyer, who he must have had a problem. Sorry, Tobias Meyer, who he must have had a problem somewhere, because he's dropped down the order and is now down in P8. So Valverde really picking up a couple of places there, as did David Seed. For Georgiev and Pinto, though, a final chance maybe to stay in this knockout qualifying and to get one more lap in an extra place. For Georgiev, he is right on the back on the timing screens of Tobias Meyer. Valverde, though, is that the best he's going to do? 1.5 off the back. Here is Tobias Meyer looking back at Georgiev and Pinto, having a great squabble as Nico Forlan moves into second place now. And for Tobias Meyer here, he's looking at this battle behind and thinking, if these two continue to squabble, I may get one last chance here. As at Forlan still squabbling for P2, but here comes Georgiev, launches one up the inside and a big shunt up the rear. Pinto on the back of Meyer. And I'm sure Race Control are going to want to take a look at that, because he was a day late and $1 short on the brakes into the chicane. Georgiev, though, as clean as a whistle through. And did Pinto give Meyer that place back, I wonder? Either way, Georgiev will get one final lap in. Pinto and Meyer, I'm sure that one will be looked at by Race Control. As there is Pinto taking the gloves off and just checking with everybody around him. Marcus Valverde then 1.5 seconds to his next challenger, which is Sinan de Merbas and David Seed, but them two are having a great squabble out front. That has meant that Valverde has gained some immense time over these two, and he's now all of a sudden within 0.3 of a second. For Georgiev, it looks like the end of his knockout qualifying. Here though, for Marcus Valverde. He's been given a lifeline by Cyril Zambra and David Seed having a battle, and he's now on the back of this train. That is also David Richardson in front of these three as well, currently sat in P4. So for Sinan Demerbas, he's ahead of his championship contenders at the moment, but David Seed and Marcus Valverde are coming right at him and are really going to want to knock the door down and make sure they can get ahead of Sinan Demerbas, in this one. There is David Seed, and he's got to think of making a move. He's fine this lap as long as Valverde doesn't get past. And here comes David Seed having a look on Sinan Demerbas. Can't get through though because Demerbas is having a look at Rusler then. And David Seed's now going to look up the inside of Rusler as well at the chicane. That isn't going to work for him. Here comes Marcus Valverde though. David Seed very wide. And who's going to get knocked out here? Georgiev will be eliminated. And I think Valverde we will lose as well. David Seed and Rusler there just hung on for their position. So David Seed's got past as well. I do believe Valverde is out this session and got in the way there of Rusler a little bit. So compromising his run up Eau Rouge. Then you see in the background he's having a look on David Seed, and that slipstream is working in great effect. And here comes David Rusler and the battles of the Davids. And it's David Seed who's going to try and hang it around the outside. Gives that one back. And a big snap and a big spin there. And that is David Rusler's session come to an end, you'd imagine. It's going to take a big off from two drivers to get through qualifying. But P6 on his first outing here at Racing Unleashed. That is not bad at all for him. And I'm sure he will take that. David Seed though, 1.8 now off the back of Sinan Demerbas, and the top six very spread out at the moment. Nico Farland trying to make as big a dent into Oscar Ruiz's time. Here is Sinan Demerbas. No traffic in front. Well, there is there, but it's away in front. David Seed charging behind. And Demerbas has 2.7 seconds then to make up over Sven Knusel in this session. But I do feel like we're going to lose the two Davids. David Seed and David Rusler then are going to be the two that we miss out or lose here. As Oscar actually just pumps in his fastest time of this session. And for Farland, couldn't match him, so 6.7 is the gap. And here is Sven Knusel in calm and currently sat in a very, very good position here in terms of his first outing. Again, just having a look, the wide berth of the monitors, the screens that the drivers look at, so they'll be checking just to make sure who's about. Sinan Demerbas 2.1 seconds behind Knusel. A 7 kilometre length track here, so it is a long lap, but 2.1 seconds you feel is a lot of time to make up. It's going to require a bit of a mistake. Farland brought the gap down a couple of tenths to the leader, and Demerbas is coming here. I tell you what, a car between Demerbas and David Seed would make things interesting, wouldn't it, going into the race a little later on. Nico Farland then just cannot make a dent on Oscar Ruiz's time out front. He is absolutely flying here in Madrid. I've got a feeling that I've been saying his name the wrong way around. I've got that wrote down in front of me from the printer, Oscar Ruiz. That said Ruiz Oscar, so we'll call him Ruiz Oscar. We'll go with what the simulator says. So for Ruiz, he's absolutely flying at the minute. Sinan Demerbas though is gaining and gaining and gaining here, but you just feel it was too much work. Over 2 seconds he had to gain in a lap. You just feel it's too much work for him to do, and he can see the car in the distance, but he kind of knows, you kind of can tell by the expression on his face that it's just too much of a job for a P3. It would have been, I'm sure he would have loved to have put a car between himself and David Seed, but for Sinan Demerbas here, it will be P4. And for Sven Knusel, well, what a great outing to start inside the top three as Nico Farland pumps in his best time of the session, and Sinan Demerbas will be P4, Sven Knusel will be P3. Provisionally at the moment. Obviously race control will double check everything and make sure everything is above board then. So we're down then to the final two, and it's Nico Farland versus Ruiz Oscar here. and Forland has way too much to do. 2 seconds for Sinan de Murbas was a big ask. This man's got near enough 6 seconds to find, so it's going to take a mistake from the current leader, but I'm sure Nico Forland will take a P2, and a front row start will be something that he'll be delighted with, no doubt. What this is for these two drivers here is they're not close enough to battle for that pole position, but they are close enough to really push the car this lap. They know this is pretty much what's going to happen. Well, Nico Forland can. Ruiz Oscar doesn't want to push the car too much and have a bit of a mistake. They can really explore the lengths of the circuit and make sure they can find what they need to do in the race. They've had a great rhythm, and I tell you what, for Ruiz Oscar, he started this session, this knockout qualifying session, P3, so he's taken the lead. Nico Forland started, where is he on my list? Started all the way down in 19th place, so he's really came through the pack here to get to P2. But it is going to be P2 for Nico Forland, and for this man Ruiz Oscar, his first outing here at Racing Unleashed in the Madrid Lounge, and it will be a provisional pole position. A very happy man, a punch of the air, P1 he says. P1 indeed, my friend. A fantastic qualifying session for you, and for Nico Forland a P2 in this session as well. He will be delighted with that, I am sure. Race control though will double check everything over there, already starting to look, I can see from my shoulder, a high five here and there from the Team Forland. And that was a fantastic knockout qualifying session then, and we will bring you a full classified list when Race Control have double checked everything and gone through everything, and we can make sure that that is all above board and ready to go for the race then. So knockout qualifying done. We'll get an interview with the pole sitter when it is confirmed that he is the pole sitter a little later on momentarily as well. What a knockout qualifying. Apologies for the picture loss on our end earlier on in this session. But what a qualifying for David Seed. Sinan de Murbas getting inside that top 6. Fantastic for them. For Nico Forland from 19th to P2. An absolutely fantastic job for him. And for the debutant, Ruiz Oscar, P1 provisionally at the moment. Everything will be looked at by our race control team, and they are thoroughly working on everything. I can see below me on everything. Here's what happened though. There's Joshua Hader, got a bit of a tap, tapped someone on the rear and spanned them round at the chicane. Andre Keifer then at turn 1. Wow, right into the back of the car in front, who then domino effect into the car in front of him. There you see it above, and I tell you what, the black and blue car was very lucky to not get tapped in that. Here's Joshua Hader, and is this what led to his mistake? A tap on the car in front, and look at this, Tiziano Caponio, late lunge at the chicane, and he nearly made it stick. The yellow car off at the side, and then round goes Tiziano Caponio and has to sit. Oh, don't move there. Oh, you feel that's a penalty. Joshua Hader looking up the inside of the purple car and got spun around. You feel that it was a late move, but the door was open for Joshua Hader there, and I'm sure that he's going to want to make sure that Race Control take a very, very thorough look at that one. In this one then, as we are ready to get into, I do believe someone's just came in the channel, so I think we have got the interview with Ruiz Oscar. Then no, we've just lost him, so I think we're going to just wait a moment to get them in for the pole position interview. Oh, what a knockout session. I tell you what, us here at Racing Unleashed, we love knockout qualifying because it brings you entertainment like that you don't get in a normal qualifying session.
Sorry.
As I believe now we've got Ruiz Oscar in with us. Ruiz, well done on pole position, my friend. How was that one?
Thanks a lot. It's a little bit hard because here there are a lot of hot, and it is the first time that I compete here. But yes, I'm very happy. I'm trying to focus on the first lap. I see that another driver go to the speed in the second corner, but I can avoid him. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, you've got to be very happy with that. Your first outing here at Racing Unleashed and a front row start, a P1 start.
Yes.
That is something that you can take into this race, a bit of confidence.
Yes, I see that the second position have a lot of pace. It's been hard for me to be first in the first lap, but I could try. Always clean, and it's nice to try this to another caster like Borja to then comment this. So it's a good opportunity.
And your first outing here, what do you make of it at Racing Unleashed? Obviously, getting used to the simulators. What do you make of it? What do you think of it?
I love this. I always that I can stay here. I always try a little. I love the belt push, and yes, always that I stay here. It's an opportunity to be fun.
So going into the race a little later on, you start P1. What can you do? What's your task?
Yes, I try in the warm up. I try a little to try to the start. I think that I have the point, but I don't know. And at the first corner, I try to maintain the first position, but I think that it's a little bit hard. So my objective is to stay in the track and to survive to the last lap.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck, Ruiz. Well done on pole position, and best of luck a little later on. Hope to speak to you later.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
A very, very happy pole sitter there then, and a man that will be delighted to start on the front row of the grid and make sure that he can get as good a start as possible in the race a little later on, and we'll bring you that all live coming up this afternoon. What a qualifying session, though, from everybody there. And on his first appearance, he can be very happy with what he did in this one. Then there is race control. And as you can see, they are checking everything over. And they are making sure that everything is above board and is the correct decision going into the start of this race. Because every appeal, opportunity of a steward decision that needs to come in, they need to get right to make sure that the grid is accurate for the race. And it is fair for the drivers who got caught up in collisions. Then they are busy people down at race control, let me tell you. And just below me, you can see them all working very hard. There you see the racing lounge here in Kemptol, and our race control working very hard to make sure that they can get everything correct for the drivers, all 22 of them, ahead of the start of this race. A few unhappy drivers, a lot of happy drivers, and you have to say that Sinan de Mirbas has to be one of the happier drivers, being ahead of his championship rivals and being ahead in that championship, meaning that he can try and defend from them, try and extend his championship lead in the race later on, and really work towards that. You can just see the monitors there for race control. They're just looking at it. That is Munich. And the drivers just having a little debrief. Tribute to Sebastian Hirsch. We hope he gets better soon, as we said earlier on, and we wish him a speedy recovery and wish him back as soon as possible. There is our, I do believe, lounge in calm. Again, a little debrief, just looking at the live timing screens on the board, checking people's best laps and seeing what they can do. It's just all about sort of cooling down, getting out of that cockpit, get a drink, get yourself refreshed, ready for the race coming up later on. Because that's truly going to be a fantastic battle and a fantastic race all the way till the very end. Very relaxed and very calm in these racing lounges, you know. No drivers look disappointed. You just see their look on that monitor. They're just monitoring. That looks to be the Tiziano Caponio send-it manoeuvre into the chicane. Oh, now was that car squeezed? That's what they've got to decide. That's their job. And I'd rather be up here in the commentary box than down there monitoring all the stewards' decisions that they've got to make sure they get absolutely spot on. Long discussions to be had But they look so calm when doing it. Yeah, they look, not stressing out. They're going to make the right decision, and they're going to be as calm as they can be. Every driver then. The cockpit's empty. The driver's getting some refreshments. And we'll be getting ready to hit the cockpit later on. Okay, so let's bring you the provisional starting grid now from the knockout qualifying. Again, we'll bring you a fully classified one later on. This is just provisional. So Ruiz Oscar and Nico Farland, you can see there the times next to their name mean that they are classified. So P1 and P2 will be Ruiz Oscar and Nico Farland. From P3 down, though, is under investigation at the moment. Sven Kuss or Sinan Demirbas, P3 and 4. Row 2 will be David Seed and David Rosler. Marcus Valverde, P7 with Valentin Georgiev in 8th. Hugo Pinto 9th. Tobias Meyer in 10th. Second half of the page, Cyril Zambra down in 11th with Thomas Herzog in 12th. Julian Machas de la Rosa and Mikael Frey, P13 and 14. Fabian Meyer and Borges Arzo, 15th and 16th. 17th place for Tiziano Caponio. Tyler Klausch in P18 with P19 and 20. Joshua Hader and Astrid Vollenweider. And bringing up the rear of the grid, P21, Ondrin Keifer and Sylvain Proust, the man on debut, P22, bringing up the rear. That is a provisional result, and we will bring you a fully classified result when we get it at the end. Oh, right then. Knockout qualifying, job done. Festival in Munich, job done. In the shop window, job done. What more do we have in store for you this afternoon? We've got plenty more coming your way. We've got a brand new video from our Fit and Fast League coming up a little later on. And as well, if you want to enjoy our racing league here at Racing Unleashed and want to get yourselves involved, take a look at this from Mr. JWW and Fabian Vettel.
I'm looking forward to joining Racing Unleashed on the 23rd to the 25th of September for the Barcelona race weekend. I'm going to be there all weekend taking part in the Challenger League on the 24th alongside Fabian Vettel.
You want to race against me? Then qualify for the Challenger race in Barcelona.
So if you want to race against us, make sure to qualify for the Challenger League. Really looking forward to seeing everyone over the weekend. Be sure to come down, say hello, and show me your best lap times.
And we cannot wait to see them at Catalonia next month. If you would like to get involved, make sure you go to Racing Unleashed social media or website, check it out, sign up, try and qualify for the Challenger League. But let's take a look then at our brand new Fit and Fast exercise video, and make sure you take part.
This exercise is called leg raises. The exercise also works the lateral abdominal muscles. A strong torso relieves the back from blows and helps to secure the body and spine during sudden abrupt movements. In addition, you develop a nice six-pack. So, we do the exercise. Lie back on a mat, lift the legs and stretch them out long. Place the arms at the side. Bring them more in, like an L, yes. And now, you begin slowly to move to one side and to the other side. Don't forget to breathe. Inhale and exhale. 10 or 12 reps, and afterwards, a minute, you have a break. After 8, 9 reps, it will really burn. Yes, Giro, that's the one. We start counting when it hurts, right?
Racing Unleashed.
Yes, my friends, that's how champions train.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Green and go after being held at the line for a while.
Who is going to be king of the late breakers?
Speed up the bremses.
Michael Spiegel is throwing absolutely everything at this, including the kitchen sink. Disaster strikes.
Unglaublich.
¡Wow! ¡Qué pelea!
I'm loving this. Look at this. Absolutely brilliant. stop.
This is Racing Unleashed.
Tiziano Caponio then will be going from P21 on the grid for our Challenger race, situated here in Kemptal in just outside Zurich in Switzerland. So Tiziano Caponio going from P21 on the grid. This is the confirmed grid then that we are bringing you. Mikael Frey going from P20. Big thumbs up from Mikael then. He goes from P20 alongside P19 Julian Machas de la Rosa. As you can see, final conversations going on just ahead of the start of the race for Julian. He goes from P19, Mikael Frey in Kemptal, then going from P20 on the grid. So the grid confirmed after race control took a look at all the knockout qualifying and all the incidents and action that happened in that, and pleasingly only a couple of penalties were awarded during the course of that knockout qualifying. So we continue to work our way through the grid of drivers then that will be competing here at Brands Hatch as we reach the halfway stage in the season. So we still see Mikael Frey and also Julian Machas de la Rosa in the final stages of preparation ahead of the start of the race. So P19 and P20. Felipe Gonzalez will be going from P18. Felipe Gonzalez, he's in Madrid, and Luca Keller, he goes from P17 on the grid. He's in our lounge in Calm. Good afternoon to you, Luca. What can you expect from this race on the British roller coaster, my friend?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me. To be honest, I don't really know what to expect. I will probably just, my focus is to drive my own race, not really focus on the other drivers, just drive clean, stay on the track, and yeah, hopefully like that I can gain some positions on the track.
We are counting on it. Luca Keller, we wish you the best of luck. Have a great race. He's speaking to us live from Calm. Thank you very much for your time. Luca Keller, he is going from P17 on the grid. We move through it and then we take a look at the next row, and the next row contains Marcus Valverde. Now, Marcus, in my opinion, is out of position, and therefore he's going to be one to watch going from P16. Jose Miguel in Madrid goes from P15 on the grid. So that is the 8th row of our starting grid for the Challenger race to come here at Brands Hatch. So Marcus Valverde and Jose Miguel and all Madrid line up there. One of our fit and faster competitors, and is always fit and always fast out there on the track as well, is Thomas Herzog. You said to me off the air, Thomas, qualifying, you know, you're not bothered about that because you're going to let the race do the talking for you, and a lot of overtaking you suggested.
Yes, exactly. It's pretty difficult here to race with 22 others competitors, and yeah, pretty difficult.
Well, Thomas, if anyone can do it, you can, and we wish you the best of luck for the race. So thanks very much to Thomas Herzog here in Kemptal talking to us as well. Now, he has Fabian Meyer alongside him for company. Fabian Meyer and Thomas Herzog then complete the 7th row of our grid. Tyler Klausch and Mikael Farland, they go from P11 and P12 respectively. So the 6th row of the grid, Mikael Farland, father of course of Nico Farland, they are going from P11 and P12. Mikael Farland and Tyler Klausch, both of them in Munich. Then we find Cyril Zambra. He goes from P10. He's based in Zurich. And going from P9 in our Munich lounge is Nico Farland. And a big smile from Nico. Good afternoon to you. Best of luck here at Brands Hatch. Now, I have a bit of favouritism, Nico, because, of course, it's my track. It's in the UK. You're out there, you're on the grid, and you're on the grid with your father. What a thrill is that, Nico, to try and beat the old man?
Yeah, it's nice to drive with my father, so maybe I can learn him to get him a little bit faster for the next time. So maybe he can block some people for me in the knockout.
Yes, use him something of a blocker. That's a good strategy, Nico.
Yes.
We wish you the best of luck, Nico Farland in Munich.
Thank you.
And
thank you very much.
Thank you for your honesty. Really appreciate that. So Nico Farland going from P9 wants the old man to become something of a roadblock. Okay, we'll see if we can do that. P8 is David Seed and P7 is Sinan Demerbas. Hopefully we can speak to David Seed then. He's in Madrid. David, of course, you have a commanding position at the top of the championship at the moment. And dare I say it, on the 4th row of the grid, David, all your focus is going to be on overtaking, surely.
Yes. objective is to obviously win the race, but maybe a podium would be nice, but I want to win, so I'm going with all I have.
We know that you're going to deliver a great race for us. David Seed then has already said to us on the air he's going for the win. He'd settle for a podium, but he's going to go for the win. Well done, David Seed. Thank you for talking to us. Sinan Demirbaş going from P7. And Yannick Schmidt, he goes from P6. And Yannick Fletcher, our language expert that we heard from earlier on, he goes from P5. So that is the third row of the grid. So best of luck to the two Yannicks there, Schmidt and Fletcher. Ondrin Keifer then, who had the save of the day in the knockout qualifying, he goes from P4. Going from P3, Stefan Julmi. Stefan then, gloves on, ready, and you can see the focus. So Stefan and Ondrin are on the second row of the grid, and then we get to the sharp end of the grid, of course, the first row. Ronnie Hettinger going from P2 on the grid. He's based in our lounge in Calm. And then going from pole position, we spoke to him at the end of knockout qualifying. That's Dario Arpa. And Dario then has already explained the strategy that he had for qualifying, the knockout qualifying. Presumably, Dario, you will be applying exactly the same strategy for the race. Now, here comes some fast facts about Brands Hatch then. This extraordinary British roller coaster circuit that winds its way through the countryside for 3.9 kilometres. 4 left-handers, 5 right-handers. The start to turn 1 is a blast of 188 metres. It is Britain's best-loved circuit. We absolutely adore Brands Hatch, and the drivers are really enjoying it as well. Oh, through Paddock Hill Bend then, where you drop off a cliff and run down. It's very easy to be pulled into the gravel trap. To Druids, which is the closest to a hairpin that we have after the uphill stretch. And then you run down towards Graham Hill Bend. All of the bends, of course, named after luminaries in the racing world. Use a little bit of the runoff area in Graham Hill. And then as we go out to the back of the circuit, because we use the full GP circuit, this is the Westfield Bend. Another downhill and uphill section before Clark Curve, which is the final turn and brings you onto the start-finish straight.
Same. Hopefully I can win, yes. That's the target of the day. Yeah. It's so challenging because it's so narrow. It's also very, very old school, you know. There aren't much runoff areas like other tracks of today. So yeah, I like it a lot actually.
So we heard from Dario Arpa then, and this, of course, was the conclusion of the Rocket F4 British Championship.
And out of it, it is going to be 2 victories here at the Bolton final for Monica Bolton-Ramos, as she should be our racing star. Final corner, Deegan Fairclough, and he's done it. It's 2 victories for Deegan Fairclough and 26 points apiece as well. Fastest laps in both, and he cannot believe what has just happened. That is a life-changing moment.
It was a fantastic competition for esports competition using our simulators. There is just 6/10 between the two of them, and whoa! Sinan Demirbaş sets the fastest lap, a 1:03.334, as we saw cars going around there, one of which was Luca Keller. So here is David Seed, P14, our current championship leader. And after various problems, including one of his own making, which was a mistake and very uncharacteristic, he has got a lot of work to do now in terms of putting himself into the really important points-paying positions. So David Seed has Fabian Meyer ahead, and then Cyril Zambra, and is being pursued by Michael Fry and I was going to say Valverde, but Valverde has just spun the car around. Let's go on board with David Seed now then. Quietly, he will be really cross with himself for a error earlier on, which has seen him in this position. Tiziano Caponio, as everyone else was losing their head, Tiziano capped his and finds himself in that really advantageous P7 position. As now Dario Alpa does respond then and banks the fastest lap. As Tiziano Caponio in this P7 place at the moment, with Michael Farland well within Tiziano's sights for an overtake here. But of course, Tyler Klausch is right behind as well, and there the pressure on Michael Farland meant the back end of Farland's car went around, and that played into the hands of Hedinger and Klausch, and of course Caponio. Cyril Zambra, P11, Thomas Herzog, P13. Fabian Meyer running in P12. So a good shot this is as they make their way up to Hawthorne's Hill. And David Seed, P15. It's just not happening for him today, and is being pursued by Matias Della Rosa here. So Mikko Frey ahead of David Seed, as indeed is Thomas Herzog and Fabian Meyer. And here's Julian Matias Della Rosa chasing that all-yellow car ahead then. Julian racing in our lounge in Munich. Of course, all our lounges joined together as one for this fantastic competition in the Challenger League. And here's Dario Alpa, who's not been able to break away sufficiently from Sinan Demirbaş. So the two of them, well, they're gapped by just 5/10. That's all it is. Well, make that 4.5 now as Sinan Demirbaş really begins to pile the pressure on Dario Alpa. Dario, who did a fantastic job in qualifying, is under threat here for this P1 position. Make no mistake about that. But Dario Alpa is more than well aware that in his rearview mirrors that are full of the Sinan Demirbaş car, because these two are really breaking away. This is an excellent onboard shot. We're on board the P1 car, and we can see the hot pursuing Sinan Demirbaş car as through Clark Curve onto the start-finish straight we go. Here is Sinan Demirbaş. No stranger to success, of course, in Racing Unleashed, and would love to bank a P1 here in Brands Hatch. On lap 8 of 27, Dario Alpa then through Druids down towards Graham Hill. Seems to have it all completely under control. The gap, to be fair, is not moving. It remains at about 5/10 between the two of them. So making the climb up now towards Hawthorne Hill. Dario Alpa and Sinan Demirbaş with the setup of the car so close. These Formula Hybrid X-Evos 2022 cars are so good, as Marcos Valverde now sets the fastest lap and is the first driver to put it into the 1:02s. But he's running down there in P18. He's got a lot of overtaking to do. And Dario Alpa, I think, is now beginning to really feel the pressure of Sinan Demirbaş, as Aldrin Keifer gets by Stefan Julmi to pick up the P4 place. Podiums at the moment go the way of Alpa, Demirbaş and Schmidt, but we're a long way away from talking about podiums. Now, as they cross the timing line, the gap has reduced significantly between Dario Alpa and Sinan Demirbaş. Here's David Seed, languishing, if I may say that, down there in P14 with Mikkel Frey ahead. So David Seed, for whatever reason, has just not come together in the early stages of this race. However, don't let that lull you into a sense of David Seed's not going to do very well here, because we know just how hard he can push. On board with Mikkel Frey then, looking back to that David Seed car. So it's P13 and P14 that we look at now through Graham Hill Bend here at Brands Hatch. Use the runoff area. Blaster throttle before braking and running up towards the Hawthorne Hill. Here is Sinan Demirbaş then getting ever closer, just 3/10 the gap between P1 and P2 now. Where will the overtake potential come from Sinan Demirbaş? If he can get the draft off of the car in front here, it could be going into Paddock Hill Bend. They go side by side, almost touch wheels. It's a long way around the outside though at Paddock Hill. And sure enough, Dario Alpa is able to close the door, but now around the outside again, really difficult at Druids. But this is how keen and how contested Sinan Demirbaş is in taking this P1 place away from Dario Alpa, the man that shone in qualifying. So Sinan Demirbaş then climbs towards Hawthorne Hill now, with Dario Alpa able to breathe just a small sigh of relief as they go underneath the bridge, and being able to resist the overtake from Sinan de Murbas as Marcos Valverde now, another driver into the 1:02s, sets the fastest lap. In fact, he improves on his last fastest lap. Tiziano Caponio has got by Stefan Julmi and has made it into P5, and there is Tiziano Caponio as we split the screen so that we can keep an eye on both of these battles going on. Sinan de Murbas not as close to Dario Arpa on this lap. And we're on lap 11 of 27 here at Brands Hatch, and then really closing through Druids. Now an excellent exit from Graham Hill could give Sinan the opportunity, but actually he runs just a little bit too wide, and the additional momentum that Sinan had brought into Graham Hill Bend was lost. So now he's got to do it all over again. Under the bridge then, heading towards Hawthorne Bend, the right-hander. Along the Milner Straight into Westfield. And then, of course, it is the short straight, which is Dingle Dell. There, exactly where we are. Through the Sheen Curve towards Stirling's Bend, which is the next one. And Sinan de Murbas then, with Yannick Schmidt running in P3. These drivers are a good couple of seconds ahead of the P3 driver. So rather than Dario Arpa having just broken away himself, basically P1 and P2 have broken away from the rest of the pack. But now I think Dario Arpa seems to have got everything completely under control. This is Cyril Zambra running in P7 all on his own. So heading behind and Julmi ahead, but Cyril Zambra, as you can see, gapped between those two cars that are running in P6 and P8. And David Seed, whilst we've been watching this, has put the car into P11. So Sinan de Murbas that we are on board with now, because Dario Arpa obviously made a mistake somewhere, because Sinan de Murbas is now leading, and not only did he Dario Arpa lose out on P1, but lost out on P2 as well, because Yannick Schmidt went by. So obviously a problem for Dario Arpa, and now our new race leader is Sinan de Murbas. So here is Sinan then around the Clark curve and onto the start-finish straight, and completes his first lap as leader of this race. And David Seed then pursuing Thomas Herzog ahead. Thomas Herzog here in Kemptel in our lounge, and David Seed, of course, racing in Madrid, as I think that was Mikael Frey that just ran off the track there in the background. So David Seed is pursuing Thomas Herzog as we go on board with the Thomas Herzog car here. Seed gets close enough to dive it to the inside, going into Paddock Hill. That'll be a slam dunk, and he will go through. Good move by David Seed then, set that up perfectly along the start-finish straight, dive to the inside for Paddock Hill Bend. And once he'd done that, there was nothing that Thomas Herzog was going to be able to do to try and prevent David Seed coming through. Here's Yannick Fletcher then, who's now chasing Thomas Herzog. So let's go on board with Yannick Fletcher, of course, so successful in our last round at Mugello. At the moment he's out of the points, but a points-paying finish is not out of the question for Yannick Fletcher. Fabian Meyer finds the gravel trap, bounces through it. Thankfully, I was going to say thankfully every other car avoided, but in the end they didn't. That's played into the hands of Yannick Fletcher, because I think it was the car of Thomas Herzog that was collected. So David Seed now is up to P9 with Yannick Fletcher running in P10. But Fletcher is a long way back on David Seed now. In fact, there you can just see the Yannick Fletcher car coming into shot, coming up Paddock Hill. But this is David Seed then, who's running P9 now. And he's got to use all the pace he can to get on terms with Hedinger, who is running in P8, for David Seed to be able to at least wrestle some meaningful points out of this race. Just past the halfway point in the race, as Mikael Farland found the grass, but manages to find himself ahead of Luca Keller as they continue to race on. De Murbas and Yannick Schmidt then are P1 and P2. Here's Mikael Farland running in P16 with Fabian Meyer up ahead, and then Klausch, and then Herzog. So P16 for Mikael Farland. ahead of Nico Farland, who's running P18 or P19. Here's Luca Keller then. And Luca Keller knows that he's quicker than Mikael Farland, but he's got to find a way by. And that isn't easy necessarily here at Brands Hatch. Now let's see if he'll do what David Seed did, and is he close enough to be able to get to the inside of Mikael Farland going into Paddock Hill? I don't think he is. So he runs wide. That costs him a few 100ths of speed, to be honest, and allows Luca Keller to get a bit closer. Allows Matias de la Rosa also to get closer too. So here is Julian Matias de la Rosa that we're on board with, using that runoff area out of the Graham Hill Bend then. Left-hander now, climb uphill, Hawthorne Hill. And David Seed, P9, is reeling heading her in. So David Seed then is focusing and targeting the P8 position and is getting ever closer. So it's a question of when, not if, the overtake is going to come, I think, from David Seed to get into that P8 position. Don't think he's close enough here on the start-finish straight to throw one into Paddock Hill Bend, but he may be close enough to do it at Druids. No, not the king of the late breakers going through Druids, so it may take another half a lap or so for him to get on terms with the all-red Hettinger car, this Formula Hybrid X Evo 2022 car that is the simulator used in Racing Unleashed. This is Mikael Fry then. Yannick Fletcher in the purple colours ahead. Just rounding and heading up now towards the Hawthorne is Mikael Fry, and David Seed then, as I predicted, has got closer, but he's still some 4/10ths behind. Is he going to line up a move going into turn number 1 this time around, because it's now through Stirling's Bend and Clearways and into Clark Curve, which is where we find the drivers now, but actually the Hettinger has got it all under control and is able to complete and keep a significant gap between himself and David Seed. However, Matias de la Rosa, who's running in P18, is fancying fighting away by the car of Mikael Farland ahead. So here is Julian Matias de la Rosa racing in our lounge in Munich with, as we cross the timing line, 10 laps remaining in this race. We're on lap 17 of 27. De Murbas leading by 2.7 seconds over Yannick Schmidt. Let's take a look at a replay of the start then. And this is where our pole sitter really bogged down. You can see, did not get away well at all. And that really played into the hands of the second row, especially as they all entered here. This Paddock Hill Bend. Stefan Julmi very nearly taking the lead of the race, but then squeezed out, and you can see a number of drivers have squeezed out, and this is where there were all sorts of skirmishes going on. Now, those that were clever enough to find a way by without being affected by everything that was going on included the likes of Tiziano Caponio at that time, and also David Seed, who, as you could see, made his way up into P6 in one point, and now finds himself in P9. This is Marcos Valverde, who in the second half of this race has really performed as we expect to see Marcos Valverde performing. He's up to P11, and this is Sinan de Murbas then, who's got relatively clean and tidy tarmac ahead of him. On lap 18 of 27, he's about to break the timing beam now, and Sinan de Murbas leading Yannick Schmidt, and is significantly quicker by some 4/10ths than Yannick Schmidt, which means the gap between de Murbas and Schmidt is some 3.267 seconds now. Dario Arpa, well, is going to try and bank a podium out of this, but will be very, very disappointed that he is P3 as he dropped down the order. We didn't see the reason why, but it was obviously some error from Dario Arpa. We can only assume that saw him passed by both Sinan de Murbas and Yannick Schmidt. So Andrin Keifer running in P4 with Tiziano Caponio then, as I mentioned, one of those that took advantage of the everything that was going on at the start. So good drive here in Kemptal from Tiziano Caponio. And Sinan de Murbas continuing to increase his margin to something like 3.5 seconds now over Yannick Schmidt. So Tiziano Caponio chasing down Andrin Keifer. Ondrin, of course, he of the biggest save in the knockout qualifying, as David Seed now really pursuing the car in front. Where can David Seed make a move on this car and elevate himself from P9 into P8? It's Hedinger that he's trying to get by, and this is Tyler Klausch, who is running P14. Machas de la Rosa then is keen to get by, and in his quest to get by runs out onto the grass. So Mikael Farland is under pressure from Machas de la Rosa, but thus far has been able to maintain that place. See a new fastest lap coming from Marcus Valverde as the fuel level in the car, virtual fuel level, reduces, so the car gets a little bit quicker. And here is David Seed, who's trying to find something extra he can, because he's sat for a long time behind Hedinger and has not been able to find a way by. Overtaking not easy at Brands Hatch. Here's Ondrin Keifer running through Clark Curve now onto the start-finish straight. And Ondrin Keifer breaks the beam of the timing signal in that P4 position, being chased by Tiziano Caponio. Rounding Druids now. De Murbas, Schmidt. And De Murbas now with 4.1 seconds ahead of Schmidt, and Dario Arpa is getting closer and closer and closer to Yannick Schmidt. There's going to be a fight going on for P2 in a moment. Tiziano Caponio continuing to try and find a way by Ondrin Keifer. De Murbas, Schmidt, Dario Arpa then are the top three. And as I say, just looking at the graphics on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the gap from P2 and P3 was coming down significantly. Here is David Seed then, still piled up behind this car of Hedinger ahead. Fair play to Hedinger, who's not yielded to the pressure and is still able to show a clean pair of heels to David Seed for the moment. Marcus Valverde then, who has been setting a sequence of fastest laps as we get into the final 5 laps of this race. Let's go on board with Marcus Valverde now, trying to find a way by. It's difficult around the outside here at Druids. Really denied, but good effort from Marcus Valverde, trying to find a way past Yannick Fletcher. Yannick Fletcher, though, is able to metaphorically stick his elbows out and thus far deny Marcus Valverde, which will be frustrating for Marcus, as everything he throws at this thus far has not been enough. Yannick Fletcher, of course, on the podium in Mugello at our last round of the Challenger League in Racing Unleashed, as we go on board with the Yannick Fletcher car now. And that is a mistake from Marcus Valverde, and Yannick Fletcher will benefit from that, because all of a sudden Marcus Valverde, who was right up his trumpet, isn't anymore. David Seed has managed to get by Hedinger. So you can see from the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen that David Seed now finds himself in P8. De Murbas, Schmidt, Arpa, the 1, 2, 3. There is David Seed then, having successfully got by Hedinger in the end. And it did take him a long time to do that. And now Hedinger falling prey to Yannick Fletcher. Ondrin Keifer not on the podium, but you can see a podium potential here, because Ondrin Keifer is running in P4 and is really reeling in Dario Arpa now. There is Arpa in the green car. There's Ondrin Keifer. And on lap 24 of 27, Ondrin Keifer knows that a podium is definitely on the cards here. However, what Ondrin's got to be aware of is the fact that Caponio and Zambra are right behind as well. So in a bold and ambitious move to try and get by Ondrin Keifer, he doesn't want to lose out to the likes of Tiziano Caponio and also Cyril Zambra. So here is Ondrin Keifer. Really now just showing his face to the inside of the Dario Arpa car, then losing a bit of momentum as he runs out onto the grass. And that does allow Tiziano Caponio to get a bit closer, although Caponio with an error allows Cyril Zambra to go through. So Cyril Zambra has gone through now, and Cyril Zambra will be doing the chasing on Ondrej Keifer and Dario Arpa. So this battle for the final podium place could become a three-way party very, very soon. With just a couple of laps of race distance to come here at Brands Hatch, this is Racing Unleashed and our Challenger League Championship race 5 of the 10-race season. Cyril Zambra coming good towards the end of the race. Sinan Demirbaş leading from Yannick Schmidt, and Dario Arpa, who is at the head of this queue of cars, although as you can see he has something of a margin over Ondrej Keifer, who is a P4, and Ondrej Keifer now is going to be under real pressure from Cyril Zambra. Here comes Tyler Klausch then with Fabian Meyer, and Cyril Zambra now we go on board with. Cyril is beginning, if I dare say, to run out of time to be able to capitalize on the potential here. Sinan Demirbaş with a good, very nearly 5 second over Yannick Schmidt and Dario Arpa. Then it's Ondrej Keifer, Cyril Zambra, Tiziano Caponio, then Stefan Julmi, David Sid P8, Hedinger is P9, and Yannick Fletcher P10, and Marcos Valverde just out of the points in P11, despite having set some a sequence of fastest laps. Here's Yannick Fletcher then, who we are on board with now, running through, and has the Hedinger car in his target sights. But here at Brands Hatch, narrow, undulating, it's difficult to overtake. Cyril Zambra on the left-hand side of your screen, Yannick Fletcher on the right-hand side of your screen. And there is Cyril Zambra with Ondrej Keifer ahead. This is P5 and P4 in the fight that we're watching on the left-hand side of your screen. On the right-hand side of your screen, it's the fight between P9 and P10, and it's Yannick Fletcher that is P10 at the moment. We have started the final lap of this Challenger League race here at Brands Hatch with Sinan Demirbaş 4.9 seconds to the good of Yannick Schmidt and Dario Arpa. Cyril Zambra steadfast in that P5, running out to the GP part of the circuit now with this left-hander, running up towards Hawthorne Hill, and then of course the right-hander, which is Hawthorne Bend. And the overtake opportunities are running out thick and fast for our drivers on the final lap of this race. Race that was led in the early stages by Dario Arpa, who did make a mistake, or didn't make a mistake, but just bogged down right at the start of the race and didn't get away well. And that played into the hands of many. But Sinan Demirbaş will be victorious at Brands Hatch in Munich. Well done, Sinan. He takes the win. And Yannick Schmidt takes P2. Dario Arpa P3. Ondrej Keifer P4. There is Yannick Schmidt in Munich. So, as all the cars cross the line, David Seed manages to get P7. Well, right in the final stages of this race, everyone seemed to up the ante a little bit. So Demirbaş and Schmidt, and here is Dario Arpa, who did a fine job in qualifying, put the car on pole position, and then something somewhere went awry for Dario, and he went from P1 to P3. Sinan Demirbaş and Yannick Schmidt went by. But he gathered it up and was able to bank P3 in the end, so good, valuable points. And of course, let's not lose sight of the fact, prize money as well. We didn't see it on the television. P1, yep. you bogged down at the start. You managed to gather it all up and save that, which was a brilliant start in the end. Where did you lose the lead? Because we didn't see it on the television.
I think I lost the lead on turn 5 because at the exit of the corner I lost the car. and yeah, that was basically it. It was my mistake. Yeah.
It takes a big man and a big racing driver to admit when they've made a mistake, and I have to say your recovery from the mistake right at the start, where you just seemed to bog down a little bit. Okay, taking all of that into consideration, Dario, you must be happy with your performance in qualifying and also your performance in the race, because you have taken a podium, P3.
Apart from that mistake, yes, I'm pretty happy about the result in the end, and my pace as well. So yeah,
I agree, and you're going to be a one to watch throughout the rest of this season. And very, very excited we are to watch you as well. Many congratulations, Dario. Sorry it wasn't P1, but well done for your P3.
It will be another time. Thank you.
Now, Yannick Schmidt is in our lounge in Munich. You had such a smile on your face, Yannick, when you crossed the line and you took that P2. Well done to you.
Hello. Thank you. It was a great race.
It was a really, really good race. Now, of course, you had the benefit of Dario Arpa making a mistake, but you have to take all those mistakes, and sometimes the luck runs with you, sometimes it runs against you. But Yannick, I was really impressed with your pace, consistent throughout the race.
Yes, I couldn't say anything right now. I'm very happy.
Well, what you did say was enough for us to hear, and we are delighted that you are happy. Well done, Yannick Schmidt. Taking that P2, it just looks like you're so relieved, your facial expressions, that you banked that P2. So money in your pocket and points on the table. Well done, Yannick Schmidt. So
yeah.
He takes P2. So we've heard from P3, we've heard from P2. And in Munich, as you can see, scratching his head as if to say, where could I find another few 100s? Sinan Demurbas, you did not need to, because you were awesome. And you took the chance when it came. And the thing is, as a racing driver, Sinan, sometimes, as I was saying earlier on to Dario, sometimes luck doesn't run with you, sometimes it does, and you just have to seize those opportunities, and you did that. P1, well done, friend.
Thank you. I mean, I never ever expected to do it at this track. I knew at some point I would get my shot at the win, but I just tried to win the slowest race possible, don't do any mistakes, my time will come. I knew where the grip was and where we should place my car into turn 1 and turn 2, and then it just worked out perfectly.
So, Sinan, the Brands Hatch GP circuit, obviously I'm biased because I'm British and I love the place. It is a difficult circuit, and it's hard for you guys to find somewhere to overtake as well, isn't it? So it's a real roller coaster, a real challenge for you.
Yeah, I mean, consistency is key, patience is key. You can't force anything at this track. You just have to wait and put the guy ahead under pressure. Once I had the lead, I just tried to do slow lap times, consistent, don't go off, and just bring it home, basically.
It sounds to me, Sinan, that the strategic plan that you had put out there worked, because you are race winner. Congratulations, Sinan Demurbas.
Thank you so much.
This podium, though, is absolutely guaranteed. There is going to be no changes to P1, P2 and P3. So the winner is Sinan Demurbas. He takes P1. Yannick Schmidt takes P2. And taking P3, Dario Arpa. And here comes the first of our podium ceremonies as Dario Arpa receives his P3 trophy. Literally just underneath me here in our studio. And good applause for everyone, and thank you very much. Well done, Dario. He takes P3. And here comes Yannick Schmidt in Munich. Whoa, Yannick! He nearly fell off the podium. That would have been something that I would have talked about for years, Yannick. Yannick Schmidt then takes P2 in Munich. I'd have so laughed if you had fell off the podium. I don't mean that I would want you to do yourself any injury, of course, but it would have been hilarious. Sinan Demurbas. And to the top step of the podium then. Congratulations are offered and afforded. And here comes the award then of the medal. P1 then for our race winner. Absolutely great stuff. So P1 and P2, of course, on the same podium because they were based in the same lounge. Both of them onto the top step of the podium for a really nice photograph and nice image for us on television as well. Full and confirmed result from Brands Hatch then, with Demerba, Schmidt and Arper, of course, the 1, 2, 3. First of the drivers to pick up penalties were Tiziano Caponio and David Seed, a P6 and a P7. They weren't the only ones, because other drivers picking up penalties included Michael Frey and Yannick Fletcher and Thomas Herzog and Tyler Klausch and Fabian Meyer and Julian Matias Dalla Rosa, all picking up penalties. Ironically, the start accident where you saw so many cars off at Paddock Hill Bend, that was considered a racing incident. No penalties.
Hi, my name is Ralph Möller. I'm the Chief Fitness Officer of Racing Unleashed.
For esports, sim racing, physical and mental fitness is important.
30 to 60 minutes of exercises per day are important for your success. Use your bike instead of your car, or just take a walk. There are no excuses. Running, cycling, swimming, or gym. Just keep it going. So get fit and fast with a Gladiator.
Racing Unleashed.
See you soon.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Hold on to your hats. We are on the grid. Who is going to be king of the late breakers? Excellent onboard shot. Michael Spiegel is throwing absolutely everything at this, including the kitchen sink. Look at this. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Disaster strikes.
Unglaublich.
Wow, qué pelea.
I'm loving this.
Take your hat off and give him a bow. He's already in the lead, and now he can sail off into the sunset.
This is Racing Unleashed.
Hello everyone. Really sorry I can't be with you this weekend because still traveling from the USA back to Europe. However, whether you are a Racer League driver or a Challenger League driver, I just wanted to check in and wish you the best of luck for racing this weekend. And my buddy Matthew Duffin, he's going to be calling all the action. Be good.
Welcome back then to Racing Unleashed. Here is the grid then, and we've got Andrin Keifer P21 and Joshua Hader in 22, and I think we can grab a word with Joshua. And Joshua, are we going to be a bit more behaved in this one? You're going to stay out of trouble?
Second, please repeat.
Are we going to make sure we stay out of trouble in the race for this one?
I try to not be in trouble this race, yes. Sorry.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
So Andrin Keifer P21, Joshua Hader P22 there then. P20 is Tiziano Caponio and Sylvain Prus in 19th place. P18 is Astrid Vollenweider and Tyler Klausch in 17th then. All these drivers getting fully prepared and fully focused as Borges Arzo then P16 getting the towel in, making sure the sweat is wiped off the rail, and Fabian Meyer in P15, and I believe we can get a word with Borges Arzo. Borges, what can you do in this race?
I don't know, I'm trying to give my best, so I think I can get my positions back because I lost some positions on the qualifying, so I try to do my race, my best.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, Borges.
Thank you so much.
All smiles and all focus from every driver on this grid. Fabian Meyer lining up in P15 then on the grid as well. P14 goes the way of Michael Frey and Julian Matias Della Rosa in P13th place. He's ready to go for this one. As we head into the top 12 now, and it's Thomas Herzog in P12. He's just making sure he knows what he's got to do. Hugo Pinto in position 11 in Madrid, making sure the gloves are on, they fit nice and well and not too harsh on his hands. He's got a very long, tricky race coming up in this one. Top 10 then. And it's Cyril Zambra, the man who will start in P10. And I believe we can get a word with Cyril Zambra. And Cyril, race winner last time out. What can you do this time?
Yes, I will give my best. You know, the knockout quali wasn't the best. I couldn't get into the flow, but I will just race and try to get into the flow now in the race and gain some positions.
Hopefully score a lot of points today for your championship.
Yes.
Best of luck.
Nice.
Best of luck, buddy.
Thanks.
And in P9 then, Tobias Meyer lining up with him in our racing lounge in Munich, and he looks fully focused on the job he's got at hand. And Cyril Zambra, big task to get to the front of this pack. P8, Valentin Georgiev then with Marcus Valverde, the black sweatband today, not the purple sweatband we used to see with Marcus Valverde in P7, making sure them gloves are on as he is ready to go. Valentin Georgiev there, just making sure he can see properly. Top 6 then on the grid, and it goes away over David Rousler in P6 here in Munich, and I believe we can get a word with David. Not yet in the channel, so I think we'll just wait. He's in the channel. David, can you hear us?
Yeah.
What we're expecting in this race? What can you do?
Yeah, hope not to get too far back, and yeah, maybe hold my position. Concentrating on staying where I am.
Your first race start here at Racing Unleashed, is it a top 10 finish what you want?
Yeah, of course I want it, but let's see how it goes, and I'm happy with any result.
Well, wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
And David Seed there, head just tilted down. A lot of work to do for David Seed today in P5. He's got to make sure he finishes ahead of Sinan Demirbas for this championship, coming to the back end of the season, and he's got a lot of work to do. Sinan Demirbas then, hopefully he's not asleep and he wakes up for the start of this race, because he's got a lot of work to do in P4. And we've got Sven Kusel to talk to in P3. And Sven, your first outing as well here at Racing Unleashed. Top 3 start. What can you do in the race?
I hope I will finish in the points, and yeah, let's look.
A podium, hopefully the best thing, or just points?
Just points.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, buddy.
Thanks.
And then your front 2, it didn't change from the original order. It will be Nico Farland in P2 and Ruiz Oscar lining up on the front row as the graphic changes. Now there is Nico Farland and Ruiz, who sat P1. A thumbs up from behind in Munich of Nico Farland. He's ready to go. And let's head to the fast facts now of Spa-Francorchamps. Spa then, the Ardennes roller coaster. It's classed then 7 kilometres long, one of the longest circuits in the Racing Unleashed calendar. 10 left-handers, 9 right-handers, and a start of 250 metres from P1 to Turn 1. 100 metres difference in altitude, and El Rouge probably the most famous corner in all of motorsport then. As we get into the fast facts, and season 2021, Javier Loro was the man who took the race win. A very good victory for him as he come through the chicane. Nicely done, look. And he just got to the line, and a lovely little punch of the air. I say punch of the air, a waft of the air, and then a bit more ambitious on weaving the car to warm his tyres up. Then into Turn 1 you go, then 250 metres from start to La Source, and a very, very tricky right-hander. It's very easy to get that one completely wrong. Up into El Rouge and Radion then. A very brave corner if you're going to go side by side. But what will you do through there? Crucial to get a good run down the Kemmel Straight, as then after the Kemmel Straight you head to Le Combs, where Michael Schumacher and Mika Hakkinen, Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton made contact one time as well. And at the very end of the lap, the chicane, which can make or break drivers. Can you send one up the inside to make sure it's job done? Or what will happen?
I try in the warm-up, I try a little to try to the start. I think that I have the point, but I don't know. And at the first corner I try to maintain the first position, but I think that it's a little bit hard. So my objective is to stay in the track and to survive to the last lap.
And then another fun fact, Nico Rosberg back in his William days trying to do a blindfold drawing of the circuit from memory. I don't think that's the layout of Spa, but I tell you what, it would make for an interesting race around Nico Rosberg's layout of Spa. Just wait till you see this ending, because the track doesn't join up, it overlaps, and then you can't come round to complete a lap because you just end it. Just there, look. What a shot. And that then was your Fast Facts ready for race 7 here in the Challenger League this afternoon. And a very warm welcome back to everybody here to Racing Unleashed, where we go beyond the pinnacle here for 2022. Hope you all had a good lunch and enjoyed the highlights of Brands Hatch. But there are red lights on now. It's a long hold. It's green and go for race 7 here at Spa, and a great start from the front runners. Everybody in the midfield equally sort of packed out and bunched up, making sure they all get into turn 1 as safe and out of it as possible. Everybody through nice and cleanly. That's what we want to see. Now down the straight towards El Rouge we go, and this is a crucial corner. Cars just bouncing off the wall up El Rouge. There's still drivers side by side. People having to get out of it there then as they come through. That was a car sideways at the top of Radion, and who is that dropping down the order? That is Tobias Meyer on his debut, down to the back of the pack. Nico Forlan though out front has taken the lead of this race, and Zarzo's got himself up to P14. Pinto and Matthias De La Rocha having a great battle, as well as Sylvain Proust here trying to make up some ground as that is a car off, and there's another one just gone off out the right hander, bouncing off the wall. And who is that dropping down? That is Mikael Froy, who has gone down the standings, as well as it was the leader, in fact it was the race leader. Ruiz Oscar is down to P20. So what has happened to him at the start of this race? And Nico Forlan leads this one then from Sylvain Proust on his it's Sven Kusnel, on his first outing. David Seed is ahead of Sinan de Merbas then in P3 and has got the jump there, and that is a big wiggle from Sven just in front of him as Nico Forlan is pulling away. Sinan de Merbas on the back of David Seed. He's got to try and stick with him. Where is Cyril Zambra? He's already made up good ground. He's up into P6 with Marcus Valverde just behind. But for Kusnel here, he's got David Seed on the back of him, and we know David Seed, he loves to make a late lunge up the inside. Will he do so at the chicane? Hugo Pinto here, you see down in P9, he's trying to make a move, and that is on Georgiev round the outside. Later on the brakes, he dares brake latest, and will he keep that inside line? Georgiev makes sure he gives it in very tight, and he doesn't get the run out the chicane he needed there. And Pinto down towards turn 1, he goes still behind Georgiev. He'll have to look to the inside, a late cut to the inside though on board. Hugo Pinto makes the apex and gets the job done there on Valentin Georgiev, and now Georgiev under pressure from the car behind him as well. I say car behind him, they're side by side, and Georgiev tucks in as Pinto coming up towards El Rouge. All these are brave in the background. Up over Radion they come, down the Kemmel straight now, and Pinto up into 7th place, can set after the drivers in front. Matthias De La Rocha though has got himself alongside Pinto, and that slipstream down the Kemmel straight really is at an advantage, especially if you can get in the toe early on up through El Rouge. And a huge snap for Hugo Pinto there, sends him right round, and hopefully the other drivers can avoid him, and he gets going now. He was on the apex of the corner as he span around, and away he goes into the safety of the rest of the traffic then. But a big snap for Hugo Pinto just when he got himself into the points. Joshua Hader, he's made up some impressive moves already. He's up to P12 from the back of the grid. On board him, fully focused and determined to get this one done. Look, a car just a little wide in front of him, and he's going to make sure now that he tries to get on the back of that car. It is Tiziano Caponio just in front of him, and for Joshua Hader, he's had a fantastic start. He's getting 10 places in the opening lap and a half. What an opening lap for him. David Seed is into 2nd place with Sinan de Merbas up into P3 from Valverde, and then Cyril Zambra. And here's David Rusler on his first outing down in 6th at the moment. Here is looking back from Tiziano Caponio, now back to Joshua Hader, who is trying to get on the back of Caponio, but he's got Tyler Klaus just in front of him, and he's going to make sure that he can make the move. Here is Cyril Zambra then on the back of Marcus Valverde. Tiziano Caponio knows he's got Joshua Hader behind him, and he has Klaus just in front. There's a queue of cars just in front here, and that is all on the back of Borja Zazo, who's had a good start to this race, 16th up to 8th, so he's gained himself 8 places in this one as well. Julian Matias de la Rosa then on the back of the orange car in front, and look at the slipstream down the Camel straight up the inside as easy as you like, and that is P6 for Matias de la Rosa, ahead of our debutant and David Richardson, as Marcus Valverde has got past Sinan de Merbas then, so the current championship leader just struggling at the moment and loses out another place. Tiziano Caponio's got himself past Tyler Klausch, and that will mean that Joshua Hader will be after the back of Tyler Klausch now. But for Julian Matias de la Rosa, great pass using that slipstream to full effect. Now needs to find some 3 seconds to get on the back of Cyril Zambra, who is trying to hunt down Sinan de Merbas. Further down the pack then, Fabian Myers moved up to 17th place, with Astrid Vollenweider up into 19th now as well, and Tobias Meyer, another one of our new drivers, he's dropped down to 20th place. Then looking back from Tiziano Caponio, now looking forward from Tyler Klausch, and that is the car of Caponio in front, and in the rear view mirror you see Joshua Hader and co in the background. Plenty of traffic and plenty of places for these guys to make up top 10 score points, let's not forget. And now here goes then Klausch on Caponio to the outside as they come towards the chicane. Who is going to be later on the brakes? It's Tyler Klausch, who really slams the anchors on and makes sure that he gets that one stopped into the chicane, and he does indeed, and that is a great move. Fastest lap of the race, David Seed, who is a man on a mission, and he's coming at the moment. Tiziano Caponio though back behind Tyler Klausch once again, and is that Joshua Hader just going up the inside? Believe it was. He was having a look, but I think it's Caponio and Klausch up front, who are side by side coming up to the bottom of Eau Rouge. And I tell you what, one of these guys have got to back out. Hader just to lift off the throttle there to make sure he doesn't get caught up in these two squabbling. How they got up Eau Rouge, and look at Joshua Hader, the momentum he got through Eau Rouge, and he's trying to create a gap. He now makes it 3 wide coming down the Camel straight towards Lecombe, and here comes Joshua Hader, might just get the 1 place of Tyler Klausch, and he does so, and that was a great move. He's been tapped around and manages to hang on to it though. Who's got through? Believe Klausch, Herzog and Michael Fry have all got past Joshua Hader there, but he's got the speed, he knows he's got the pace and the determination to get through. It was a lovely move, it just didn't work at the very end for him in this one. Then David Seed has that lead cut down to under half a second to Nico Fall, and David Seed is on a mission to recover his championship lead in this race. Joshua Hader though head back down, and he's already on the back then of Thomas Herzog. Here is David Richardson looking back to Borja Zazo then, 16th in qualifying for Borja, and he said points in the interview, and look at him fully determined on catching the car in front of the debutant. Borja, an experienced driver here at Racing Unleashed, and knows what he's got to do. He knows when to go early. 17 lap race, with lap 4 off 17 as the laps start to tick away in one of the longest tracks on the calendar. Nico Farland just a little slower than the traffic behind him, so being caught by the 3 cars behind him here, but Sinan de Merbas not being able to make any inroads on Valverde or David Seed at the moment. Sinan de Merbas is actually being overtaken by Cyril Zambra as well then, so for de Merbas here, his championship lead could be taken off of him again. Borja Zazo now up Eau Rouge. There's a couple of cars behind. That was Georgiev and Caponio as well, who up Eau Rouge, they've made contact, and a big incident into the wall of Valentin Georgiev and Tiziano Caponio, and that will promote several other drivers then. Michael Fry, Tyler Klausch promoted up a couple of places, as well as Hugo Pinto. I think Joshua Hader's made a few places as well, and for Tiziano Caponio, he's in the wars there, coming up through Radion into the back of Valentin Georgiev, and well, the momentum up Eau Rouge and Radion, you've got to make sure you get out that throttle, because if you're not out the throttle, you could have an incident like that, and it's just that slipstream taking great effect, and a big snap there for David Richardson in front of Borja Zazo, and Borja Zazo patiently waiting. He can see that mistake coming from David, and he's just going to patiently wait and bide his time. He's got plenty of time left in this race to make a mistake, and he's just forcing the newbie into a couple of mistakes. David Richardson here is really now trying to keep keep it calm and keep it cool and keep ahead of Borgesazo. Tyler Klausch behind is 3.2 seconds, so he'll only lose 1 place to Borgesazo. He doesn't need to overdrive the car here, as here then is your battle for the lead. David Seed to Nico Forland then. Nico Forland a bit quicker than David Seed last time round, as Cyril Zambra a lot quicker than the rest of them. Him and Sinan de Murbas have got past Marcus Valverde, I've just noticed there on the standings. There is David Seed, the man of many smiles, we've said in the past. He's coming up El Rouge into Radion, down the Camel Straight now, and looking back from Nico Forland. Look at David Seed just slowly pull in with that slipstream just taking effect. Gets it to 6/10. Actually, Nico Forland better through the Lecom chicane than David Seed was then. Cyril Zambra in third. From 12th on the grid, as here comes Tiziano Caponio again. He pulls out now on Thomas Herzog down the Camel Straight, just a couple of wheels on the grass. That's not the quickest way, Tiziano, and he's going to look around the outside at Lecom, and he gets that one absolutely inch perfect. Joshua Hayder now then on the back of Thomas Herzog, and he'll want to make a move as well, as here is Tiziano Caponio now has a job to do to make some moves and get some time up and try and catch onto the back of Michael Fry. There's Georgiev and Fabian Mayer both get past Ruiz Oscar, whose race, qualified on pole, but his race just hasn't gone the way he wanted it. Joshua Hayder then on the back of Thomas Herzog still. David Seed's brought that gap down a little bit to the leaders. Here is Fabian Mayer, and he's just waiting for that car in front to just make a mistake. That is Valentin Georgiev in front. 0.8 of a second separate these two. And for Ruiz Oscar, he's a further 1.5 seconds behind Mayer and has plenty of time, does Mayer, to just force an error from Georgiev. Forland though, quicker than David Seed last time around. Tyler Klausch now having a look. Who's this on? Having a look at the chicane there, gets a good run out of it, and this now is on the back of David Rousseler then. So has he made a mistake, because Zarzo's got past, and now Klausch up the inside at turn 1. Easy as you like, thank you very much. P8 for him, and Mikael Fry now on the back of a P10, of a P9, sorry. And for David Rousseler, he's just dropping down the order a little bit. Has to try and stick with cars, and he's all over the place up the top of Radion there. And now getting that slipstream, doesn't need to. He's got the speed advantage as he pulls down the straight. Mikael Fry can see these two side by side, and how he'd love these two to maybe make a bit of contact into Lecom's, and it's as clean as a whistle. Through they go, and Mikael Fry is going to have to do it the old-fashioned way and overtake them on the track, and it is elbows out from every driver up and down the grid here. They want as many positions and as many points as possible. So Mikael Fry has work to do. Here's Thomas Herzog then. Loving the gear, green and black gloves on display there from the cockpit from Thomas Herzog. As down there towards the middle sector he comes. He's trying to get on the back of Joshua Hayder here then, who's still trying to stick with Tiziano Caponio. And for Herzog, just outside the points, as is Hayder and Caponio in a minute. They'll all love a couple more places to get within them points. Back to Fabian Mayer. Look at that, a very cool, calm, collected face from Fabian Mayer there. Just on the back, looks like he's out for a Sunday drive. He don't look like he's in a race at the moment with the facial expression. On the back then of on the back of Georgiev, and he's got closer. Here is Tobias Mayer then, P20 at the moment, and is 4.3 seconds off the back of Ondrin Keifer. David Rousseler then, he's under pressure from Mikael Fry and doesn't get the chicane right. Bit of a slow exit you see there, and Fry gets much better run. Now can Rousseler defend that inside line into La Source? No, because Fry's going to try and switch it back, send it up the inside. Job done, P9. Tiziano Caponio next on Rousseler's list then to defend from. As who's that making a move up the inside, around the outside? That is Georgiev and Mayer then, side by side, up El Rouge and through Radion. That is Fry and David Rousseler then. Coming back at him he is, and wants that P9 back, and they are so close, and Tiziano Caponio is right with these two as well. Into Lecom's they come now. And David Richardson then gets that place back from Michael Fry. So good job from him. Meyer has got past Georgiev on the standings as well. And David Seed has made no more inroads to Nico Forland at this stage of the race. Lap 8 of 17. So we're pretty much halfway through this race as well. And what a race it's been. There's been overtakes, there's been crashes, dramas all over. And your pole sitter is down in P17. Michael Fry then. Another one that looks like he's out for a Sunday drive, just as cool as a cucumber in that cockpit, on the back of Reuschler and defending from Tiziano Caponio. Bit of a wiggle mid-corner there, misses his apex, but manages to get it right for the second ball, and that is a huge snap for David Reuschler there, and that puts him straight into the wall and will promote several drivers a couple of positions there. And Joshua Hader now on the back of this scrap of Michael Fry and Tiziano Caponio within the shout of a point. Thomas Herzog's trying to stick with these as well. And for David, down to P13 he goes, and it has not been the race that the newbies would have wanted, as David Seed still within 6/10, but Tiziano Caponio is going to try and break late over Michael Fry into the chicane, and they just make contact slightest bit, and Joshua Hader sees an invitation, can't take it though at the moment, but he's getting closer and closer and closer they come, as they come down to start the 9th lap of this race. Into La Source they go again. And I tell you what, this midfield battle for a top 10 points finish here has been absolutely fantastic in this race. And Tiziano Caponio has been up, down, you name it, he's been in that position. And for Fry then, he's got a few cars that he's got to defend from. Thomas Herzog trying to stick with his pack as well. And the slipstream of Tiziano Caponio will now take effect. Fabian Meyer, this is Ruiz Oscar, your pole sitter. Look at the difference in speed, the drag that he got, the slipstream that he got down the Camel Straight. And Georgiev is a passenger to Ruiz Oscar then, who flies past, and a wiggle from Valentin Georgiev there, sees him bounce off the curb into the side of Ruiz Oscar, and then Oscar back across with his snap into the front of Georgiev then. So that's promoted several other drivers. Fry now really having to defend from Caponio, Hader and Herzog's coming with them. So a bit of traffic here for P9, 10 and 11. Nico Forland out front hasn't felt much pressure at the moment, but David Seed is just getting larger in that rear view mirror you see at the top for Thomas Herzog, and he might just have to start thinking about what he's got to do to defend. Look at David Seed at the chicane then, getting real up close and personal to the back of Nico Forland's car, and Cyril Zambra as well in the background, Forland can see. So he's just got to stay as cool and composed as he is and has been in the knockout qualifying and in the early stages of this race. It's very easy to make several mistakes here. Fabian Meyer's got past Pinto for 14th place as well, and this is looking back from Nico Forland to David Seed. That gap 7/10 of a second. It's been that roughly now for about 4 or 5 laps, and you have to say that for Nico Forland, he has defended like a lion in this one. Absolutely fantastic drive out front. Cyril Zambra 1.6 off the back of David Seed. Sinan Demirbaş just hasn't had the pace in this race to stick with the front runners, and for Valverde, can he get close to Demirbaş and take some more points away from the current championship leader then? Here is David Seed, who just he hasn't got an answer to Nico Forland at the moment, hasn't got an answer at all. He's doing everything he needs to do. He's stronger in certain sections of the track and then loses time to Forland in other sections. Now Tiziano Caponio has got past Michael Fry for P9 and 10. As David Seed then just trying to get closer. This is the closest he's been for a while, and it seems that this last sector of the lap, David Seed has the upper hand over Forland. Here is Michael Fry then, who has just lost out to Herzog, and now has Joshua Hader on the back of him for that final points position. Thomas Herzog's not got onto the back of this party that we expected as well, but a lovely three-way battle. And Joshua Hader had a big penalty in the knockout qualifying, demoted to the back of the pack. Now, really focused on getting that top 10 finish. And there he is, look, really now determined and trying. He's got his support behind him to make sure that he is doing the best job he needs to do to cheer him on and to make sure that he gets the places he needs. Just losing a bit of time in this last sector to Fry, but look at that closing speed on the brakes there flat to the floor on the exit of the chicane, and great job there from Joshua Hader as he comes down the straight, just getting closer and closer, you feel, with every corner that goes by. And while Mikael Frey and Tiziano Caponio sort of holding each other up, drafting each other here, they need to make sure that, or Hader needs to make sure, should I say, that he's aware of their speed coming up this part of the circuit, because you get such a launch from the top. Herzog now, he's within a second of Joshua Hader, and he can sniff some points as well as Frey. Looking to make a move. Caponio's gone defensive already. Frey to the outside, and through the chicane, Lecombe chicane they come, and Caponio defends from Frey yet again and stays P9 and 10. David Seed within half a second, under half a second now, of Nico Farland. So he has brought that gap down, and David Seed is slowly now towards the back end of this race. He's coming back here at Nico Farland. There he is, look. And Nico Farland's car is the closest it's been all race. And I wonder if David Seed will crack a smile if he manages to get P1 in this one. He's fully focused at the minute though, and look at him, just determined as ever. And that car, that slipstream, is really pulling him in here. Within 3/10 now, he's going to have a look up the inside. Brakes earlier, make sure he doesn't make contact with the car in front, and that all good from David Seed then. Down the straight they come to start lap 12. 4/10. David Seed was quicker on that last lap. Cyril Zambra gained 2/10 over Nico Farland as well. So he might be starting to come back into this one, especially if Farland starts to hold up David Seed. Joshua Hader then has got past Mikael Frey. He's into the top 10 now, is Joshua Hader, so a move done there. And David Seed now, the launch up the top of Eau Rouge and Radion in that slipstream, a 1/10.5. He's already committed to the inside, and Farland is helpless to anything here. And David Seed, look at though, Farland's coming back at him then. David Seed's reached the top speed, and Farland comes back at him, but he's on the wrong side and has to tuck in behind David Seed now. But he will have that benefit of a bit of slipstream. Needs to nail every corner, every section of this track to stick to the back of David Seed, who misses his apex at this next part of the corner. So that invites Farland right back in it here. And a fantastic scrap then. Joshua Hader into the points, do believe. He's having a good side-by-side battle. I can just see over my monitor. David Seed, make sure you don't go too far wide there. Just enough two wheels on the curb, and back from David Seed. There is Farland. He's gapped him to half a second already, you know. So David Seed at the moment doing absolute bits so far to keep in front of Nico Farland and extend that gap already. So Cyril Zambra, could he have an answer for Nico Farland and get himself on the podium? What a race for David Seed. He's had a few ones. This is a look back at the start of Sinan de Murbas then, and P4 on the grid. A bit of contact coming into turn 1, you see, and he just then got pushed a little wide and he lost momentum. Another bit of contact there. Here's Sven Knusel into the chicane, and he just outbraked himself, taps the car next to him, and around he goes. And Sven, keep it there, do not spin that car around, good lad. Sylvain Pruss made sure that there he is, he's still parked up waiting for the traffic to go. Oh, that was a very silly error there from Pruss. The car did lunge on him and was very, very slow, and he bounces off the sausage curb and straight into the back. Fabian Meyer then around the outside of another car. David Ruschler then down to 14th place, has just been overtaken by Fabian Meyer. Oh, and a bit of contact made there between the pair of them. The door, it wasn't really open for a move, but he did have a nose there, and Ruschler going to come back at him, you know, into La Source, and job done up the inside at turn 1. Thank you very much, he says. I'll have that one back. Nico Farland has had no answer for David Seed, and here is David Ruschler then. Fabian Meyer on the back of him. The slipstream up Eau Rouge and Radion they come for the 13th time in this race, and you imagine that Meyer's slipstream advantage that he's got is just going to carry him towards Lecombe, but he's going to be on the outside line here. And Ruschler then, he's not given up on this one yet, and around the inside doesn't leave him much room for the next part of the track. And yeah, job done all cleanly as well through there, and say he squeezed him a little bit. Meyer managed to get through without making contact. Meyer's ran deep then. Here, Georgiev back up to 18th place. He's had a terrible race since his incident to Meyer. What a save from him there, drifting it through the left-hander. Brilliant save from Fabian Meyer. Fantastic from him, as he's just lost a bit of time to Ruschler there, just with that little mistake at the moment. Ruiz Oscar, your pole sitter in Madrid. He's got a bit of traffic behind. He's got a car in front. That had a bit of a wiggle, didn't it? And Oscar can look a little interested here. That is Hugo Pinto, the car in front, and Andrin Keifer, the car behind. And for Oscar, not the race he'd have wanted on his first outing. He'd have wanted to make sure he got some points and got a job well done and come away with points on the board. But it's not to be for him at this moment in the race. Lap 14 of 17, David Seed has started. David Seed has checked out up front. He has gone. Joshua Hader has lost out to Michael Fry, I've noticed, on the standings, as well as Rusler now. And Fabian Mayer are back at it once again at the chicane. And now down towards La Source they come for their 14th time. And Fabian Mayer does not think of sending one up the inside. He was a bit too far back to get that job done. In that slipstream, though, and he could have that all-important slipstream coming up El Rouge and Radion onto the Kemmel Straight. As they come up now, there is Pinto, Oscar and Keifer in the background, and Fabian Mayer then in that slipstream, just going to pull himself a little closer, but he's not going to get close enough by the time they break for Lecombs, and that's a shame for Fabian Mayer. He'd have wanted to make another move and get himself into that top 13 positions. And he brakes very late there, and it just makes him run a little deep. But I tell you what, it's brought him closer to the back of David Reuschler there then, and has really given him some momentum. This is looking back from P13 David Reuschler onto Fabian Mayer. And for Mayer, he's just patient. And that's all you've got to do in this. It's just patience, patience, patience. And Mayer not trying to push the error, as Ruiz Oscar here has got a car on his left-hand side. There it is in the rearview mirror. Peekaboo, he says, as Ruiz Oscar being attacked now. He was the attacker. He's now being... he was. As Andrin Keifer completely runs wide and into the gravel, and now Ruiz Oscar on the back of Hugo Pinto has got a chance of making a move. Fabian Mayer and David Reuschler as well making moves, and Oscar has got past Pinto, so that's job done before the chicane. Will Pinto try and come back at him? Mayer and Reuschler are side by side a bit further forward as well, and here comes Oscar later on the brakes than Pinto. Pinto tries to get the switch back, and Oscar, no you don't, because I've got that one covered, he says. Mayer still didn't get past David Reuschler up front as well. He's going to have a look at the source. No, tucks back in, thinks better of it this time around. I'll tell you what, let's try and see if any driver's brave enough to do what Mark Webber did to Alonso a couple of years back at El Rouge. See if anybody's brave enough to go around the outside of that into El Rouge. Fabian Mayer wasn't, but he'll just get that run, and look at that. I tell you what though, by the time his car reaches the top speed, Reuschler's going to be coming back at him at Les Combes, and he's the wrong side of him. You need to be doing what David Seed did, and that's getting to the right hand side of the car after Radion, because look, Reuschler there just taps the back of Mayer and round he goes, and that then gives Mayer the spot. It also gives Oscar and Pinto an extra couple of places as well, and you have to say there for David Reuschler, he made the mistake himself, braked too deep and into the back of Fabian Mayer. He went, the door was open, and he just made the mistake himself. Nico Farland out front isn't being caught by Cyril Zambra. One man who is catching though up front is this man, Marcus Valverde, gaining on the back of Sinan de Murbas, the current championship leader. This man, well, he's attacked Nico Farland all race. He got past Nico Farland in a fantastic move at the top of Radion, and since then he hasn't looked back. 1.2 seconds is the gap, as Tiziano Caponio's got himself past Tyler Klausch on the standings then. Farland has no answer to David Seed. Marcus Valverde, though, could have an answer in this championship to help Cyril Zambra and David Seed out in this championship, and that is if he can get on the back of Sinan de Murbas a little more than he is at the moment. Here is Nico Farland just wrestling with the car a little bit through Lecombe. Got Cyril Zambra gaining on him. But lap 16 of 17, Cyril Zambra's got to do the work now to set up a real attack on the last lap. 9/10 of a second is that gap, and he's got to make sure he really can attack Nico Farland. But he's got to be sensible in doing this, because any incident, you know, and if race control decide that it would be a penalty, if Cyril Zambra made contact with Farland, he could lose the podium altogether. Points mean prizes at the end of the day, and that's the big thing at this stage of the season. Podiums, get them in the bag. Let's not, you've got to be clever and sensible when racing. Cyril Zambra then, here he comes. on the back of Nico Farland, who's had great pace in this race. He's just lost out a little bit to other drivers. It's Valverde within 0.3 of a second now of Sinan de Mirbas then, and here he is with his entourage in the background. Valverde going around the outside at the little left-hand bend and up the inside into the bus stop chicane. And thank you, Mama, for the carrots, he says. Job done. And that is a great move from Marcus Valverde into P4. The top three all battling, and you have to say, as they start the final lap, Marcus Valverde has just got himself maybe back into this championship hunt a little bit. Sinan de Mirbas then, he's in P5. What can he do? Can he come back on Valverde? I tell you what, he's just not had the pace in this race to stick with the top three, and now he's been passed by P4. He's not had the pace in this session as Sinan de Mirbas, and it's going to cost him in the championship standings. He's going to come back at Valverde here, down the Kemmel straight. We say, though, I said a moment ago, you want to be on the right-hand side. He can't come across to close the door, and Valverde will just keep the nose in, and they give each other great respect there from the pair of them, and de Mirbas gets the place back. Fantastic driving from him up into P4. And great respect, great racing from these two. And Valverde then has got to now try and fight with de Mirbas for this final position, for this final fourth place position in this last half of a lap. And that's all he's got left. He's got 3.5 kilometres to make sure he can get this one done. And look at him, concentrated, needs de Mirbas to maybe make a mistake, because Valverde's lost a bit of time to Sinan de Mirbas here. P5 though, great result for Valverde. Might have to leave the purple headband at home from now on and bring the black one with him, because he's not had the best results recently, and a change of headband seems to bring a change of fortune for him then. De Mirbas, to the end of this race, has maybe got the gap covered. It's going to take one heck of a lunge from Valverde to get this job done. But I think David Seed should be coming to the final chicane and to the finish line to finish this race. Here comes Valverde. He's going to have a look to the outside. Can he keep a nose in it? David Seed, though, is going to be your race winner. And not that you'd notice, because barely a reaction from the young man. Nico Farland takes second place from Cyril Zambra, and it was Sinan de Mirbas who crossed the line P4. And that man, Nico Farland, a puff of exhaustion there from him. That was hard work in that race. Valverde crossed the line for P5. Matthias Della Rosa, P6 it looked like. And from the reaction here in Kemptall, I think Joshua Hader may have grabbed himself a point there in the end. And there is Cyril Zambra just driving with David Seed and Valverde. Fabian Mayer then to the line. He's going to cross that for P13. It's going to be Ruiz Oscar for 14th place. Hugo Pinto will take P15, and there David Seed, look, I'd say a happy man, but it's hard to tell at times whether he's happy with that one or not. I'm sure he's absolutely chuffed to bits and very delighted with taking that race win. In great style for him as well. Georgiev down in 17th place, David Rusler in 18th, Knusel in 19th, Tobias Meyer down the standings as well. Nico Farland just couldn't hang on. It came too late, and David Seed was just too quick for him in the end, and he had to hang on from Cyril Zambra at the very end as well. Vollenweider down in P21, and that then is Sylvain Prius down in P22. There's Astrid. She'll be happy. Oh, she doesn't look very happy. What could have been a better day maybe for her. Nonetheless, a bit more experience in the bag, and she'll go at it once again when the qualifying rounds open for Catalonia next month, where, as you heard earlier, she'll get to take on Fabian Vettel and Alvaro, Mr. JWW. There is the Munich Racing Lounge then. And the message again to Sebastian Hirsch on the screen in the background to get well soon, and we wish you a speedy recovery and a recovery back to the racing lounges as soon as possible. But the racing lounges in Munich, the drivers just coming back round to the pits to make sure they line up in pit lane to finish. It's all very calm, isn't it, at Munich? But the drivers are yet to get out the cockpit, so we'll have to see their reactions when they do jump out. But what a fantastic race then here in Spa in the Ardennes Forest. An absolute cracking race, and you have to say that battle for that top 10 positions, 4 or 5 drivers every now and again, absolutely incredible, edge of your seat stuff from them all race, and it was fantastic to see in the end. Again, all very calm in our other lounges as well. And a job well done from all our drivers here at Racing Unleashed. As it has been a fantastic race for the Challenger League, and if you enjoyed this enjoyment today, make sure you tune in same time tomorrow, because we've got the Racer League coming up, and by are some of them boys quick, and they will make sure they put on a display for you guys at home watching as well, because they are fantastic. And a chance for one of them who will be sat in Munich tomorrow to do something special, but we'll get into that in tomorrow's programme then, as everything looks very calm here. I see in Kempthal Race Control already busy at it, doing what they need to do. And in Munich, a few disappointed faces. See Sinan Demerbas, the bottom left of your screen there, just having a bit of a debrief on what could have been today. He got that place back from Marcus Valverde, but just didn't have the pace of the top 3, and that cost him that podium then in this one. There's the other drivers getting out the lounge. There is Sinan Demerbas, look, talking to one of his competitors, one of his rivals, and one of our Racing Unleashed representatives as well. So here's what happened then. Joshua Hader, look, tried to split the pair of Caponio and Fry, and it nearly worked until he received a bit of a tap up the rear twice, but he got straightened up and away he went. Tiziano Caponio then up El Rouge on the back of Joshua Hader. No, that's on Georgiev, and it was just that extra speed he carried up El Rouge that put him into the back of him, and that is something that drivers needed to be aware of. And if the Racer League drivers have watched today, you need to keep an eye on that tomorrow. Andrin Keifer, look, into Lecombs, and there's just a little deep. The gap, you could argue he was squeezed a little bit, but nonetheless a bit of a contact there between them two. Then, so Race Control will definitely take a look at everything that is going off at the moment and making sure that their inquiries are done. And we are just going to await classification of the top 3 for a quick interview with the top 3, then the podium 3. As here's David Seed then, and this is David Seed as he crossed the line, and look at that, he's just a rub of the nose, very, very happy with, we think he's very happy with his day's work. It's just casual business for him, as if he does it again. This is the classified podium then. David Seed is your race winner. Nico Farland will be in P2, and Cyril Zambra rounding out that podium with 3rd place. That is classified, and we can confirm that one to you now. So we'll be bringing you an interview with them top 3 drivers as soon as we can. That one is classified, and David Seed, I'm sure. We'll see if we can get a smile from him when we speak to him in a little moment then. Everybody taking on the fluids that they need to take on, making sure that they get fully debriefed and get everything off their chest that they need to, while Race Control do everything that Race Control need to do. Now, this is a huge part of the day. This is where you have to sort of, unless you're the top 3, which has been confirmed, this is nail-biting stuff now. If you're the rest of the packs, you want to make sure you've not been in any bother, or if you have been in a spot of bother, that you'll get the decision overturned and maybe make a place or 2 back in the race then. Everybody just chilling, chatting, debriefing, and Munich looking as spot on. And David Seed then from the Madrid Racing Lounge will be on the podium with Nico Farland, who is in our Munich Racing Lounge, and then Cyril Zambra, who is in our Zurich Racing Lounge. And so we'll be able to bring you the podium celebrations. And we've got Cyril Zambra in the podium with us now, and we spoke to you before the race. You said you was happy with the points. You've come away with 3rd.
Yes, I'm really happy with third place. It's a good result, but I couldn't catch up to Folland. He had a good pace there, maybe some laps more, and I would have overtook him maybe. But it is what it is.
Yeah, the top two seemed to leave you early on, and you managed to get that third place. Like you say, a couple more laps you may have had Folland, but you've got to be pleased with your work today.
What?
You've got to be pleased with the job you've done today.
Yes, I'm very pleased. Was a good result, starting from P11 to P3. I'm happy.
Well done today, Cyril. Fantastic result for yourself, and enjoy the podium.
Thank you, mate.
So very happy Cyril Zambra there then. P11 up to P3. Great drive from him. Fantastic stuff for him to get onto that podium. Spa, very difficult track early on in that race, and when you're in that mid-pack you need to get the job done. And here's a man who just couldn't hang on. Nico wasn't to be today.
Yeah, my pace in the knockout was simply better than in the race. I was half a second faster in the knockout race, so I did a few mistakes at the middle of the race that Sid can catch me at the end. So I'm happy with P2 as a good result, to be honest, for good points for the season. P2 is good, but I want to win. But I think every driver wants to win a race. So.
And was it a bit nervous at the end of the race there, because Cyril Zambra was starting to catch you at the end, so a bit of nerves maybe?
Yeah, a little bit of nervous. I had a little bit problem with the downshifting on the simulator, but it's not that quite hard. But yeah, I'm losing so much pace compared to the knockout race, but it's P2. I'm happy with that. So moving forward.
Yeah, moving forward to next month, more points in the bag.
Yeah.
Greetings to your father as well from all of us here in Kemptall. Shame he couldn't be with us today, but a P2 nonetheless.
Yeah.
Happy day.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you.
Everybody then very, very happy, and no gain, no loss for Nico Folland. Started P2, finished P2, so a decent day. And this man then, what a race he had. David Seed, your race winner. That was a fantastic drive. Talk us through that.
Okay, I had a very decent start. I went through P3 or P2, and after that I were like 7 laps trying to overtake Nico, and after that, well, I just had to drive to the end.
Now it did seem for a while that the gap was staying the same to Nico, and then all of a sudden you got on the back of him, went past, and you didn't see him again.
Well, I think he made a mistake, and that helped me to overtake him. Sorry. And after that, yes, I only had to control the distance in 1 second, 1.5 seconds, and that's it.
And that looks like it gives you the championship lead back as well, coming away from Spa, so even more to be happy about.
Yes, and also I want to dedicate this win to my friend Valentin Cordova, because it's his birthday. I love you, mate. That's it.
Well, thank you very much, David, and well done on the race win.
Thank you.
Well done indeed. And 3 drivers then very happy with their podium celebrations. As we head back to Munich now, and they're getting ready for their podium celebrations. And a rare smile you saw at the end there from David Seed. Make sure you get a screenshot of that, or take a picture of that one on your televisions, because right, so instead of the normal podium procedure that we normally see, David Seed is going to get his in the cockpit of the car because he has to head off to the airport. So David Seed, your race winner here at Racing Unleashed for the Challenger League, and he is the race winner today, and he's going to collect his medal in different fashion in the cockpit as he has to head straight to the airport, we're being told. So well done to David Seed then for his podium and his race win. And again, a little cheeky grin there from David Seed, so we'll have to make sure we get a picture of that one. As you see there in Munich, Nico Folland onto the podium he steps A high five with everybody at Munich. Lovely message in the background to Sebastian Hirsch as well. And Nico Farland gets his second place medal. And a job well done from him in Munich. Fantastic scenes there. He's very happy with his job. And here then, Cyril Zambra, P3. And he, again, another happy man in Zurich with his podium there. All three drivers very, very happy. We had bigger smiles for P2 and 3 than we did for the race winner. But saying that, if you've been watching all season, that's not to be expected with David Seed. All three drivers, though, very happy. And once again, the message to Sebastian Hirsch, we wish you a speedy recovery and hope to see you back on track very, very soon and back here in our racing lounges very soon. All the best and get well. So there is your classification of your podium. Again, David Seed, your race winner from Nico Farland, and Cyril Zambra, second and third. And race control are still looking everything over here at the moment and are making sure that they do everything they need to do to get it the final classification to us here then. So the top three, all ecstatic, very delighted with themselves. And so they should be, really, because they had a fantastic day and will take home a lovely, lovely medal and a bit of prize money to go with it as well. Just looking over the shoulder. Right, provisional race result coming up now. P1, 2 and 3 are classified. So David Seed, Nico Farland, Cyril Zambra, as we know, are classified as 1, 2 and 3. Provisionally then, 4th place Sinan de Merbas with Marcus Valverde in 5th. 6th place for Julian Matias Della Rosa. Borja Zarzo in 7th after a disappointing qualifying. Great result in the race. Tiziano Caponio P8. Tyler Klausch in 9th with Joshua Hayden managing to get that final point for P10. Second page of the screen, Michael Fry in P11, Thomas Herzog in 12th place, Fabian Meyer 13th, Ruiz Oscar, the pole sitter, all the way down in 14th place, Hugo Pinto 15th with Andrin Keifer, Valentin Georgiev, David Rusler, Sven Kusel and Tobias Meyer bringing in the top 20. And the final couple of places, Astrid Vollenweider down in 21st and Sylvain Pruce in 22nd. But that is provisional. We will get the final classifications to you a little later on. So everybody in Munich celebrating. There is race control and they are already looking thoroughly over every little incident here. And big penalties given out in qualifying. So they're not going to be afraid to give out the big penalties again at this stage of the season when so much matters for these drivers. A lot can happen in these do or die situations at this stage of the season. You see there, our three stewards are making sure everything is thoroughly checked at this moment. As we head back to our screen in Munich, they're just taking a debrief. Family and friends stood waiting while the drivers have a quick debrief with everybody in Munich. I'm sure they'll be waiting for the final classification as well. Here then is the provisional rankings then. David Seed will take the championship lead back from Sinan de Merbas with Cyril Zambra P3. That gap now nearly 20 points between the top three. Nico Farland up into 4th place ahead of Marcus Valverde, bringing himself right into contention for this. Lorenzo Heider stays in 6th with Tiziano Caponio tied up with him. Yannick Schmidt, Julian Matias Della Rosa 28 and 29 points. Yannick Fletcher bringing in the top 10. 11th place, Thomas Herzog on 21 points, tied with Andrin Keifer. Dario Appa on 15 points, Tyler Klausch on 14. 15th place for Yannick Bleissig, tied with Fabian Meyer on 8 points. Antonio Rivoli on 6, with a few drivers, Joshua Hayder as well, one of them who got his 6th point today, bringing up the top 20. And the back half of the screen, Ronnie Hartinger on 4 points, and Adinit Jose Lendorf is on 4 points as well. Next Challenger League race though, 24th of September, 10:50 a.m. live on YouTube and Twitch. You will not want to miss it. Catalunya, Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya is the next Challenger League race, and I will be bringing you that one as well. If you want to join us here at Racing Unleashed, drive against JWW and Fabian Vettel, go to the Racing Unleashed website and make sure you sign up for the qualifying process to sign up to take them on.
I'm looking forward to joining Racing Unleashed on the 23rd to the 25th of September for the Barcelona race weekend. I'm going to be there all weekend taking part in the Challenger League on the 24th alongside Fabian Vettel.
You want to race against me? Then qualify for the Challenger race in Barcelona.
So if you want to race against us, make sure to qualify for the Challenger League. Really looking forward to seeing everyone over the weekend. Be sure to come down, say hello, and show me your best lap times.
And I'm sure most drivers will take that challenge and accept it. That's all we have time for though today. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back live at 10:50 a.m. tomorrow morning. See you then.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Hold on to your hats. We are on the grid. Who is going to be king of the late breakers? Excellent onboard shot. Michael Spiegel is throwing absolutely everything at this, including the kitchen sink. Look at this. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Disaster strikes.
Unglaublich.
Wow, qué pelea.
I'm loving this.
Take your hat off and give him a bow. He's already in the lead and now he can sail off into the sunset.
This is Racing Unleashed.